officially. Contrary to normal, I'm now going to make my what's it called? My announcements on Discord and such. So I hope you both fun weekend. Oh, Juliet is first. Thank you, Juliet. You are indeed first in the stream.
I didn't even get the notification yet.
Yeah. Go to Twitter, hit the thing.
Which is listening to me. It has an ad that says, "Don't do your taxes."
Oh God.
I'm like, no, I did them already.
Caps lock like a boomer. We're live
Right.
now! Exclamation mark.
You actually added punctuation, so that's better than a boomer.
Yeah, not enough or too much, right? Back there, hey, Scarlet Rebel with many exclamation marks and a heart. How's it going? Where's my medal, Juliet?
I was first.
I mean,
My people.
how you doing, Scarlet? Hey, 6 foot dwarf.
In the chat.
Oh my God! I don't know what you can hear over there, Trystan and Elle, but Juliet is like having a blast.
I'm having cheese. That helps.
Oh, cheese is the courage factor.
The catalyst, you should know that.
I love cheese.
Yeah, she's having
The best cheese.
a brick of cheese over here, and it gives her the
See,
yeah. Go
Juliet sounds like my kind of person.
ahead. Yeah, I think you'd get along. She's dancing now. Super excited. Awesome. Where's my phone? There we go.
I'm a stands in the shadow of the kitchen fridge door and eats cheese straight out of the bag kind of person.
Well, yeah, that would work. She's currently she has a brick of cheese in like.
It's not a brick, it's a thin like slice from an entire.
Okay, you say thin, but it's still like 2 inches thick. So what would I? What's
One
word?
and a half.
Okay, so not a brick, but a slab.
Like a slice of a giant like.
Yeah, but when. Yeah, okay. A slice of a giant thing is what she's telling me. It's still a slab.
Oh, a slab is.
A pocket dictionary's worth of cheese is what Juliet is eating right now.
It's delicious.
Yes, apparently it is delicious. Hey, Pens, how you doing? Tristan's love of cheese is well documented. The indignation in "it's not a slab." Just call it a slice and move on from there. No, I will be correct and pedantic.
Well, correct.
I mean, whose language is it?
Whose cheese is it?
You got me there. I mean, when you call it a slice, and if I'm talking about like a slice of cake, that's one thing. If I call it like
Yeah,
a
it's the same thing. A cake is a round, big thing, and you have a thin, like triangular.
yeah,
shape out
but
of it.
the
It's a
word
slice.
the word slice also comes from the connotation of like, I don't know, like something smaller and narrower. And you
That's what
May,
it was, like super
if
thin.
I may.
too
also
super
be
thin,
pedantic.
3 inches of
Out
cheese.
of a meter wide fucking cheese.
Sure, comparatively speaking, yes, but you were eating like a, you know, it's a handful.
I guess.
Yeah, Tristan, sorry,
Sure.
I interrupted you.
There's a thing over here called a slab cake,
A slab cake.
which is just like a flat single sheet of cake. It's usually for like large birthday parties and stuff. So
How?
slab is probably also not a great word.
I mean, a slab. Okay, let's look this up. Slab. It's a syllabic word. Define slab.
A section of cake.
Large, thick, flat piece. Okay, what we had here was a, probably larger than 10 centimeters or 4 inches long, about half that much wide, and like four,
It
like
was literally like imagine like one like thing, and it's like 1%.
it's a pocket dictionary's worth of cheese. That's a slab. It's flat. It's rectangular. It's a
not
rectangular.
flat, it's triangular.
Block of cheese.
It's a rectangular prism you were just eating.
No, it was triangular. I just ate the peak at the end.
Okay, so I think the confusion here is that from my perspective, I saw the flat part, and if I looked on the other side,
it was like this, and you saw what I see.
No,
I ate that.
This is what you were eating.
Yeah.
And chat can't see this. This is great. This is great audio. This is what you were eating.
Yes.
But I saw this, and I inferred that this was the whole thing.
It's still technically like this shape. It's not exactly your brick.
Welcome in, everybody. Hello. Welcome to Cheese Talk, our 84 episode podcast on cheese begins now. I'm not going to learn anything important or useful about cheese. We're just going to debate the semantics and the pedantics of cheese. Hey, dude, how you doing? Well, I think with that sound check and conversational check going, let's fun with cheese. No, there's no fun here.
Cheese talk with Kaz.
Yeah. All right. Welcome, everybody. Hello. Happy Sunday. Or if you're listening to this on YouTube later, happy day, night, afternoon. Happy continuum to you. Welcome back, everybody, to another Kaz PhD Embrace Destiny stream or video. This is our lore panel for the Q1 2023 charity, Extra Life charity event. So that's a lot of like nouns and things. What's going on? This month, we are raising money for Extra Life. You can see the banner at the top of the screen. Extra Life is working with Children's Miracle Networks. Kaz, you're doing the whole nouns thing again. We are raising money for children, children's hospitals, children's medical supplies, and we're doing that through the Extra Life charity. For those of you in the stream, the link is popping up right now. For those of you on YouTube, check the description. We're raising money for all of February this current month, and we're trying to reach $1,500. That's our goal. We have lots of prizes. You can pretty much win a prize by participating in this event in almost any way. If you jump into any of our activities, there are prizes. If you donate, every $10 donation, every multiple of $10 donation enters you into a raffle for a bunch of Destiny art prints. Check them out. They're on the link below. It's amazing. We've got lore panel now. We've got lore bingo coming up next weekend. I'll explain that one later. And we'll be playing PvP at the end of the month, which will be shoutcasted. I will have a pair of energetic friends announcing the games like it's some real sporting tournament, while also reminding you to throw money into the charitable pool. And it's going to be a great time. We're really hoping. I've got lots of other giveaways, books, and fashion contests going on now in our Discord. So, yeah. For those of you who are here, I'll give you a bit of a guide to what the next 2 hours is going to look like. We're going to introduce ourselves. We will probably talk a little bit about this last year in Destiny, what we did, how we felt about it, etc. Then we'll move into Lightfall and what we think is going to happen and all of our theories and things like that. And a special part, which you'll understand as we talk more with our guests, is talking about some of the underrepresented parts of Destiny. As I was putting the panel together, there was some drama in the community, hashtag when isn't there, and as I saw the drama unfolding, I'm like, I am kind of tired of seeing the same opinions or the same people throwing the same opinions around. So I wanted to be in more listening mode, or at least questioning mode, learning from other people. One of the things I love about Destiny, actually, one of the things I love the most about Destiny is how wide of a community it is. The people who make the game, the references and inferences, culture, history, like language that is thrown into the game, the stories that are being told, and the players who play. It's a very diverse community, and I'm constantly learning and listening, and I thought it would be great if we did that. So, hey, Tom Mom, Little Shoe Bear, hello everybody. So yeah, we'll go through all of that as well. For those who are watching this live, feel free to pop some questions down below. Our guests probably have the chat open as well. If they don't see it, I'll try to integrate some of your questions that I find, interesting or relevant into the conversation. But if you don't get to your question, then there's always another time. If you're watching this over on YouTube, you can find links down below to the live stream and to our Discord. Feel free to jump in if you'd like. We promote this kind of behavior and this kind of community, and I'm streaming most days, and our Discord is full of people from all over the world engaging in fun discourse and silly ideas and fun fashion. So yeah, and I'll let my guests warm up mentally. I'll give them an example of how we can chat as we introduce themselves. I'll introduce myself to you. So my name is Kaz PhD. My pronouns are he, him. I've been playing Destiny since around the Taken King era in Destiny 1. My main class is a Titan. I love all classes, but Titan is best for me. And I make lore content and stream. I promote community building. And besides the community aspect, one of the things I love about Destiny is how I feel like almost any story could fit. We've seen examples where, you can fit a Western side by side with some kind of, cyberpunk sort of thing. And I'm always impressed by the flexibility of the Destiny universe. So with that, I will turn it over. And Elle or Trystan, which one of you wishes to go first? I'll wait for
ladies first.
All right.
Oh, okay. My name is Valeria or Elerina. Friends know me as Ele or El. My pronouns are she, her. I've been playing Destiny since 2028, almost Forsaken area. My main class is a hunter. I love hunter. I love the other classes too, but I used to play more with hunter. And I don't know, I feel compelled to play Destiny 2 because my boyfriend, actual husband, plays it. And I love the story. And I don't know how much to say about that.
Oh, that's great, Elle. That's perfect. We'll no, that's awesome. All right, Trystan.
My name is Trystan. I'm also known as Exordium Noctis on any and every platform you can probably find on. My pronouns are he, they. I've been playing Destiny since the beta of Destiny 1, so I'm the oldest person in this chat. And my favorite thing about Destiny is the rich and varied lore. I'm also a big secret hunter, so anytime there's secrets, I get to go skittle scat around and find secrets. That's my absolute favorite thing to do. I also like the people that I've met through Destiny. I've met some really good friends. I've met some people from all over the world, and I've met my life partner through Destiny, actually. So shout out to Jade. We've been together for 3 years. Yeah, it's a phenomenal community outside of all of the, poop heads on Twitter. And once you find your people, you found your people.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
yeah, we got a
yeah.
yeah, one marriage and one, like so many relationships I've seen announced or found amongst Destiny, and just absolutely wild to considering how if it's not like Oscar worthy, if it's not like an Oscar winning performance, people like will dismiss the media. It's very fun to be like, no, the millions of people play or watch or stream or whatever, and so many real relationships have formed out of this collection of pixels, right? Marriage, yes,
He's
indeed.
making light of it by ooh-wooing it, but yeah.
Yeah. Um, Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, thank you both for being here today, chat. Thank you all for being here today. As I mentioned earlier, feel free to drop questions. We'll try to disperse them in. Yeah, so you've been playing, well, we'll start with you, Trista. You've been playing since the beta. So, I mean, like, what drew you to Destiny in the first place? Were you just kind of like, oh, hey, Bungie made it. I like Bungie, or it's Halo 2.0, or what got you into it so early?
So, a couple different things. First and foremost, I had played Reach, loved Bungie through Reach and through the Halo games that I played retroactively. And then ODST, there was a teaser poster for Destiny at the time in the game, like you could find it in a hallway.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that, and then I did some, digging, looking, and then I followed the story of what was happening with it. And then when the beta came out, I was playing it on somebody else's Xbox, and I played the first, like, vanilla and the first expansion, so Dark Below, on somebody else's Xbox. So when I, moved out on my own and stuff, I lost that account and had to start afresh. But, yeah, no, Bungie's always been incredible at storytelling, and there was something about stepping into Destiny and seeing like the early concepts and seeing Crow, who became Prince Aldrin, who is now Crow again. I fell in love with him the first moment I laid eyes on him and wanted to follow his story, and that was one of the things that really drew me into the game.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I just talking about playing like on another account, I was playing a little bit before Taken King on my friend's account. He mained a hunter, but he had a titan, and I was like, oh, you can punch stuff. Let's do that. But yeah, when I eventually got my own console and my own game, I had to start over. But Elle, you had mentioned, I think you said you kind of found Destiny through your now husband. Is that right? What? Oh, my audio cut out there. Is that right, Elle? You started playing? No, it's okay. So you started playing Destiny because your husband was playing Destiny. Is that right?
Yeah. First time I was very wary about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't play that much video games. I used to play when I was a kid, just console stuff like Family.
Mm-hmm.
And then try to move on to PC to play other kind of games like Neverwinter Nights. Most of was strategic games. Something that it wasn't that stressful. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw him playing Destiny, and I said, that looks fun. And then one afternoon, I remember it was a holiday here. I said to him, I wanna try that. Can I? And then he created an account for me. It was still the Blizzard era. And the first thing I created was Hunter. The first thing I said, I want that class. It looks fun. And start to play. I was super dumb playing that. And then I start gaining game confidence playing it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, and then I start looking for a clan eventually. And then I start playing with him, with his clan. Now he's an admin in his clan, Squadrados. Um, I don't know. It was a journey for me. It helped me a lot to find friends. I am, as you know, I am very shy, not just talking in English. I am very shy in general. Um, and with the things it helped me the most was writing. I
Hmm.
like to write. I used to write in my spare time, mm, and the story Destiny has, it's rich.
Hmm.
It's mm, it's very vast. Uh, I don't know how much to say. Uh,
As
Help me
much
with my writing.
as much or as little as you want. I was just,
Uh,
enjoying the journey.
I'm trying. I'm
So
trying
so
to be concise. Sorry.
no, no, you're perfectly fine. It's my job to move the conversation
Okay.
away and toward you. So a quick question for you, and then I will follow up with a similar question for Tristan. So why you mentioned Hunter looked fun?
Mm,
Um, what I guess like what about Hunters looked fun? I'm not questioning it. I'm just wondering. Yeah, like you saw, were they jumping around, firing shadow shots or golden guns? Like, because you've
Um,
stuck with it for a long time, right? Do you still play Hunter as your main class still?
yes,
Yeah.
but I play with other characters too. I
Mm-hmm.
have a warlock and a titan,
Yeah.
but most of the time I play Destiny is with my hunter. Um, why I found it fun? I don't know. I think they are a class. I don't know how to explain this in English because
Well,
I feel
explain
like
it. Explain it in Spanish then, and we'll all.
um,
No, go for it. I would love to hear it. We'll all nod, and I'll Google Translate it later. It's fine.
don't know. I feel very very conscious. I found it.
Do not feel self conscious. Okay, I mean you can speak two languages, right? Very clearly. You doubt yourself, but you speak. All of communication is just the ability to express an idea and have somebody else receive that idea, and you are able to do that in at least two languages, and that is amazing. So you
Thank
know,
you.
I am jealous. I'm working on French. I should be fluent in French considering it's my country's second language, but I am not, and so I am jealous. So if you ever get stuck and you want to just kind of end your sentence by saying it in Spanish, we'll all just we'll all just make a daydreaming face and go, "Wow, that sounds awesome." I don't know what it means, but it sounds great. Just me, chat,
I
only
don't
me.
know.
Okay.
I found funny, no, no funny, fun
Mm-hmm.
to play with Hunter because I love the sense of honor they have. They
Hmm.
have a kind of sense of honor different, not bad, no, or better than the other classes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the, for example, this I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if it's lore wise or is it canon? Is it canon?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about them to wear the cloak of their fellow of their former late
Mm-hmm.
comrades,
Yeah, that.
it's a thing I love the most about hunters. For example, just
Hmm.
that. The other thing is the sensation. No. This kind of way of life they have,
Mm-hmm.
like they're they are pretty much free. They don't need to be. I don't know how to say. Maybe I'm saying wrong.
No, I'm
But
following you. They operate freely. They don't have to follow some kind of, strict organization.
yeah,
They yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That kind of thing. It's what I love the most about hunters. I feel very represented. I'm that way. Colonel Colonel is looking at me like, yeah, that's true. Um, uh, but but one of the things I love the most about hunters one of the many things is that they are free. They can do, not that whatever they feel like, but without being without having the need to be ordered
Hmm.
or directed. They have a sense of honor I love the most. That is not one of the I follow you to death or something like that. It's
Hmm.
like the sense of responsibility they have. They I don't know, no, I don't know how to
You
explain it to, but
you've explained it well. It's a hard question to answer because Kaz, have asked you how to define fun, and you have done wonderfully.
no,
It's a challenging and also like silly question, and you've answered it very well. I mean, yeah, I think a lot of people feel the same way. Hunters have this, yeah, they have those elements that you have described, and even as someone myself with the least, I don't have a hunter character in Destiny 2. I only played a hunter a little bit in Destiny 1. Nothing against them, but I've seen what you say across the hunter community. So, yeah, I completely agree. Um, yeah, Trystan, so I forget now, which class do you play and why?
I'm pretty neck and neck on Warlock and Hunter. And fun fact, I have 2 Hunters and a Warlock on my account, no Titans. Um, Back in the day, you used to be able to get double loot that way, and you can't anymore. And I'm just too lazy to get rid of one and roll a Titan. But I don't really like how Titans play anyway.
Fair enough.
um, I so back in my World of Warcraft days, I played a Frost and Blood Death Knight, which is a DPS class, but I had kitted myself out to be able to tank for raids.
Hmm.
And I can do that on a hunter in Destiny, and I think that's why it gets majority of my playtime. I'm able to solo run and tank things pretty heavily on a hunter in Destiny, but warlocks satisfy that urge I have to get places, go places, learn things. So I play them both pretty neck and neck, depending on how I feel during the time I'm playing.
Nice. Yeah. Uh, I'll round out the conversation, but I won't talk too long because I'm sensing a strong, you know, hunters sit. I'm sensing a strong sense that Titans will sit at the little kids table for this conversation. But yeah,
They're wonderful.
no, I don't mind. So first thing I did when my friend handed me a controller at his house and said, "Here, try this game. It's made by the people who made Halo." I punched, and then I punched again, and I just like the sound design, I was playing on a controller, of course, so the haptic feedback. Really felt that, but that's really not why I play a Titan personally. I the reason I play a Titan can be summed up by a piece of lore in the Sentinel, the Void Titan lore, which is I am the wall against which the darkness breaks. And nothing against the darkness, but I like being between my allies and threats. I don't mind getting killed first in the Crucible so you can get the rift, the spark into the rift. I don't mind getting the revive and then dying right away. One of my favorite moments in gameplay of Destiny is jumping over my allies, popping a banner shield, and blocking all the damage from hitting them. I really appreciate that. And going into the lore of it, I mean, it's interesting, and we can maybe chat about that. I find it interesting that the classes in Destiny are often kind of assigned a personality. And I think what's very odd, and maybe this is just my bias, but I feel like the Titans, they are given a personality in one half of the lore, and in another half of the lore, they completely don't have that personality. And what I mean is, Titans, most people, when they think about Titans, they think about strong, maybe aggressive, and they're more, to put it nicely, they're more action than they are intelligence. They are more do rather than think, right? Warlocks are the investigators of mystery, and hunters are clever and resourceful, and Titans are strong. That's usually how they're kind of represented, and that's at the best of times. I think they have been represented a little worse in some other places. Check out some Guardian Games lore. But at the same time, if we look at the leadership in the tower, most of the prominent leaders in the tower are Titans, and you could say that maybe that's because, where would you have the people who are standing behind the wall organizing people? You would have Titans, right? The hunters are out investigating, the warlocks are chasing secrets. But yeah, I personally like Titans. I like being between. I like blocking danger from my friends. I like protecting people. And I do like a little bit of the strategy behind it. I do find it interesting hearing about how you both see warlocks and hunters. And I think that for the most part, I've seen exactly that from represented both by players and by the lore. I just had a little bone to pick, a little piece to argue, push back against on Bungie when they sometimes will make my Titans appear a little more athletic than academic, I guess. And yeah, it's kind of funny. I had a follow.
I could.
Yeah, go for it, please.
I really enjoy the way you portray yourself as a Titan, because there's not enough intelligent Titans shown in the lore or in the game through the community. I think we could do a lot more with more intelligent Titans, more smack happy hunters, and more warlocks who are willing to get their noses dirty.
Yeah, I think, it's an interesting thing. It's a point that I've made a lot in my streams, so some of you may have heard it before, but I feel like Bungie has done a great job in that when you're writing a story, right, you don't have the audience's attention for every detail right away. So sometimes you have to use shorthand. And that's fine, right? If I describe a character to you, you enter into a church and you see an old man sitting at the front or standing at the front of the church. He's wearing a big set of robes. He's standing very tall and proud. He turns to face you. He has a very serious look on his face. Before that person even speaks, you're like, okay, this is probably like the head priest or a community leader, and he's probably he's probably very strict or very rules based. And I feel like Bungie does that a lot, and they do it well. But I think what happens is that kind of sticks, and sometimes isn't. Either it's not expanded well, or a lot of players miss it, right? So in the Destiny version of what I just said, that's Zavala. Zavala is a big, strong-looking Titan, and you immediately get a sense from Zavala, like, okay, this is a leader. This is somebody who's very focused on, very serious. And other characters you see, and you immediately kind of. Bungie uses this shorthand a lot, as I say, these shortcuts. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. The one complaint that I have is kind of, on the classes, right? We do see a lot of less than intelligent Titans represented in game or in the lore. But even other stuff. Sometimes the Last City, for example. The Last City is the thing that we're all, one of the things that we are all supposed to be protecting, but we've never really been there. And it's just kind of a symbol. It's a symbol of...
Hey, Kaz.
Yeah.
How does it feel to go to Neomuna before you ever get to look at the Last City?
Yeah, we'll talk about that for sure. But yeah, you know what I mean? And that's an example of where I think it can be a bit of a problem, where Bungie has basically said, here's a postcard, here's an idea of a place where all the people live, and your job is to go out and keep them safe. And really, that's all you need, right? You don't even need it, to be honest. Like, you don't need, in a video game, you don't need some kind of emotional attachment. You're just like, here's a gun and here's a monster, and put the two of them together. But if you add some emotional attachment to it, then, maybe players will fall in love with it more, and they'll make streams about it, and yada, yada, yada. So I'm just saying that I think that there's there's good and bad with the kind of brief archetypes of ideas and characters within Destiny. But that's a little bit of a rant. She Bear, let me just pop in here a second. Yeah, She Bear's talking about how Zavala specifically defies expectations. He looks like some kind of military guy, but he does a lot of other things. He's artistic, he's an academic, and that's very true. And that's what I mean by the other half of a lot of stuff that Bungie will do can be sometimes lost on some of the community, or maybe it's a little subtle or spread out in lore that's hard to access, and so some people can kind of miss that. Yeah, so I was going to talk maybe about the last kind of year in Destiny, but maybe what we just said might be a good segue. Are there things like that in Destiny that that maybe ruffle your feathers, as we say? A thing, we don't have to go too heated, but something that's an idea or something in Destiny that you feel is not always shown properly, or not always seen or understood properly, or an opinion that you wish to counter. Let's go a little heated in here. So I'll start with you, Trystan, because the question is complex, and I know you probably have 20 answers. You'll have to pick one. But let's
I do too.
Yeah, let's start with two, and we're warming ourselves up. So we'll see how deep into the rabbit hole we go. But yeah, is there something in Destiny that kind of ruffles your feathers? Let's start us off. What do you think?
So my two biggest complaints are pretty niche, I suppose. But first and foremost, the darkness is not bad, and we need to stop framing the darkness as being bad. Because anybody who read the letters from the darkness, essentially, that we got during Season of Arrivals, I can't remember that lore book's name off the top of my head because I'm under pressure. Unveiling, yes, thank you. Anybody who read Unveiling should have taken away, yes, it's two sides of the same coin, not, yes, it's a gun pointed against a gun. Like, the darkness is not bad. The darkness is not bad. The darkness is a tool, just like the light is, because the light is not good. I would argue that of the two, the light is worse. If Rolk's little memory walk through his creative room is anything to go by, the light is what erases everything about you. The darkness is memory. Darkness is memory. Darkness is knowledge. So that's my first and foremost biggest argument.
All right. Well, before we go on to your second, Elle, it sounded like you were agreeing with that. Do you have any other? Do you have any other agreement that you wish to throw, or anything? Any debate on that point?
I found what Trystan said as a I found what he said with similarities of Jungian psychology. I don't know if I say it right.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Where the part of us that is the darkness or the shadow, it's a part of us that is not shown as we in a daily basis. I don't know. And the light part of us is what is shown. It's what we all shown in a daily basis. I don't know how to explain it without.
No, you're explaining it well.
Like
there's a part that's underneath and a part that is seen or shown. Yeah, we're following.
Most of the things that the darkness, or the shadow shows about us, it's just as Trystan said, memories, reactions, emotions, some things we don't usually show to others that we don't know we have, and occasionally it's shown throughout strong emotions. Can be angry, can be love, can be anguish, sadness. That's what I think is the journey throughout the Light and Dark saga. That's why I feel compelled to say,
Mm-hmm.
as Tristan said, that darkness is not bad,
Mm-hmm.
not evil. It's a tool. Uh, just as John, in his studies about psychology, tried to show
Mm-hmm.
to the psychologists of to the community of psychologists. That's that's what I think. Uh, Darkness is not a bad thing. It's it's the meta lecture, but I don't know if I say it right.
Mm-hmm.
About how I think Bungie narratives wanted to express why um, why the story about light and dark is developed in Destiny.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, you
I
know,
don't know if that makes any sense.
no, it does. It does. I mean, to say what you said back in my own words, yeah, I mean, like, it would make sense that uh, in a certain realm of Jungian psychology, that the dark is not necessarily evil. It's just a part that is usually less seen or known. And I definitely, I definitely believe that that Bungie is aware of that, at least, and uses it as inspiration, at least on some level, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they've demonstrated that they do a lot of research, thinking, and kind of collaboration on the ideas um, that they put into the game. And I will say this. As the hey, I found a region chest I hadn't found before. Interesting. That's weird. Thought I found them all. I will say this. On paper, out of the three people here, I probably appear as the most, if you follow character alignment in certain gaming systems, I probably appear as the most lawful good. I probably appear as the most, yay, the light, yay, the traveler, yay, Captain America, yay, Superman, kind of person. But I will say that, yeah, I agree with you. For Destiny 1, the darkness appeared to be just everything you can imagine evil to be. And we also didn't really get a separation between the power of the darkness or an entity like the Witness. We didn't really we had references to an entity like that, but Bungie kind of used them interchangeably, or at least that's how it appeared. Now, I wonder, as a follow-up question for you both, do you feel that like that's a thing that annoyed you, Trystan? That's kind of a misconception that you feel is popular. Do you still feel that that's a perspective that a lot of people see or have? Because I'll just say that I feel like that's a perspective that Bungie has been actively trying to widen in the last few years. I feel like, I mean, even Osiris says it to somebody recently. Like he makes the difference between the entity. He did that during the Presage campaign, but he also made another reference recently, the difference between kind of the entity and the force of darkness itself. So do you feel like the community is still kind of myopic, still kind of seeing this a little narrowly?
Ooh, Kaz. Ooh. So, narratively, I think that Bungie has walked a very fine line between saying the darkness isn't necessarily bad, but there are a lot of characters that are continuing to hold on to that original dogma. And I'm not going to point fingers because we have some folks in chat who prefer and favor certain characters. But like the inability to let go of some things, I think will be the ultimate downfall of a lot of what's going to happen to us. And as far as the community goes, I just people love their big shiny white ball, and I won't say too much about that because I don't want to hurt Jade's feelings. She loves the Traveler, but I could strangle that white orb. It takes so much from you in exchange for a gun and a dogma, and I don't feel like people see it that way. I don't feel like anybody ever sees it that way because the light is a gift. The light is a gift. But it's not. It's a curse. So.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to our lore panel. We got Drifter on the line. Drifter's here telling us about the curse of the light. Happy to have you, Drifter.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like, so here's okay. I'm going to ask this question, and I want you to understand that I don't disagree with you in your perception, but I wonder, as always in Destiny, if things are a little wider than that. Did the light have a choice? Did the light have a choice in removing that part of you and giving you this power and this obligation and this curse? And the reason I ask is that we don't know a lot about the light. Well, we don't know a lot about the gardener and the winner, or the forces that represent one or the other. We've got a lot of hints, a lot of theories. But in a lot of stories like this, like there are like fundamental rules that an entity cannot break. And it's not like, oh, can't break it or you'll go to prison. It's more like, no, they literally can't. For example, in like a lot of fantasy stories, you have fairies where the fairies cannot lie. They physically cannot lie, but they can trick you through various means. So I'm wondering, I mean, just following up on that question of the light, do you believe that the light is removing all that stuff from us on purpose? And if so, why? Just to make us like a blank slate soldier, or is there a deeper purpose?
So I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent here with this, because I think that the darkness and the light are angry children in a sandbox. And I think they don't like that their game is going the way it's going, and I think they're doing anything they can to get the upper hand. And I'll round that back by saying I'm aware that the winnower is an unreliable narrator, just like the Traveler would be. But in
if it ever bothered narrating,
book,
yes.
In the Unveiling book, the entry, the final shape, starts out, it always ends the same, the gardener complained. This one stupid pattern. And then, the winnower goes on to say, oh, isn't it great, isn't it beautiful? But it was the gardener's choice to disrupt the pattern and change things. So yes, the light is at fault, and I think it is choosing to do this to us, absolutely.
Yeah, fair point.
Because if we have our memories, if we have our attachments, why would we follow it? Why would we do what it wants? Why would we protect it if we have things on the other side of that line that we want to protect?
Fair question.
A gentle kingdom ringed in spears.
What do you feel? We're going to circle to you, Elle, in a moment, both on how you feel about this and your answer to what is the thing about Destiny that, or the community's perception of the story that bothers you. But just as a final follow-up, what do you think about Ikora's theory of the moment of grace that the memory wiping essentially offers us? Is that intentional? Is it a happy accident? Is it nothing? Is it propaganda?
I think it's propaganda.
Okay.
From a personal perspective, my main character that I play in Destiny is a very old, very storied character, and he has had a lot taken from him in the time that he's been alive, from the beginning of the Dark Ages to now. He's lost a lot. He's lost a husband. He's lost children. He's lost friends, family, and it's all been for up to this point. There's not a single thing to show for it, and the city's still here, still standing against every and any threat that we've thrown at it. And yeah, we've had to protect it, but if it wasn't us, it would have been somebody else. So in the end, why? What's the point? What are we actually protecting at the end of the day besides our continued existence, which is, again, in the unveiling book, the entry P53, the protein it talks about in that entry, it is saying that the protein allows itself to propagate its own existence, which is what Clovis Bray also does, I would point out. And we're not in the interest of anything that does not continue our genetic legacy. So, on that note, why do we protect the Traveler if it's going to erase everything about our legacy?
Yeah, fair and heavy questions. Elle, do you have thoughts on that? Opinions, perspectives?
I'm pretty much think the same as Trystan.
All right, I'm getting
what's
ganged up
point?
on. It's okay. It's fine.
No,
No, it's all good.
I'm pretty much think the same as Trystan.
Mm-hmm.
What would be the point of protecting if you don't remember where you came from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
In a simple question.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I won't go too far on it myself, but I will say that I am happy that certain characters who appear to be more dogmatic and less flexible with their ideas, I maybe call me an optimist, but I do see some hope that they may be a bit more flexible with their ideas, and I'm hoping that continues. During Witch Queen, Zavala really had a kind of a what's the word? A crisis of faith, essentially, and we've seen some examples where maybe he feels that the people of all of Destiny 2 at least, and probably Destiny 1, but I haven't thought about it in a while, has shown Zavala to be very keen on protecting the city. Homecoming mission immediately starts with him saying, forget the Traveler, we protect the people first. And that's where I'm at. And I'll just say that I hope that the events of Beyond Light, which showed us that Guardians can access the darkness without any help, I hope that we learn the same thing about the light, and that the Traveler can just go away. Light is supposed to be everywhere. I don't think we need the Traveler to help us figure it out. And that's why I fight. That's why I am glad that I have any abilities that I do. But yeah, your points are incredibly valid. Like, I mean, it's what's the...
I could.
Yeah, go for it.
Little She-Bear has said in chat that she is with Derek Parfait, and the personal identity is tied to memory, so Guardians aren't losing anything. Guardians are new people. This crux is on my issue with queer erasure, if I could, for 5 seconds, because we have a character like Uldren Sov, who in the lore was implied to be queer, to be a gay man.
Mm-hmm.
There was never any interest shown in women, but there was interest shown in a man. And with that argument of Guardians are new people, being resurrected in the light erases who you used to be, that erases everything about you. So that gives a lot of community members that I've seen, the place to go, oh, well, Crow resurrected is not Uldren, therefore he can like women. And that's erasing his queerness, because there was no implied bisexuality. I'm not erasing bisexuality here, but there was nothing implied in the lore like there was for him to be with a man. He was interested in Jolion Till. There was nothing that way towards women, and there was nothing that way towards any non-binary folks that had not been mentioned. So I struggle with saying that, because I just really don't like the idea that everything about you being erased gives everybody around you the ability to force ideas upon you. Mm-hmm. That's like conversion therapy.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I mean, I was, without considering that side of the lens myself, just because I'm very narrow and biased sometimes, I was definitely trying to help people realize that Crow was a different person. From what I understand and from how I interpret things, Crow there's a different person. So putting, very simple top line story stuff, blaming the past and the actions of Aldrin on Crow, I felt to be a very irresponsible thing from both, like, in story, we had Guardians doing that, and mostly in the community, we saw people doing that. I will say that
You just have to be careful what you erase.
exactly,
And what
yeah.
you allow to stay.
I was just going to say that's the thing, and I obviously we can't rule anything out, especially with something that is unfortunately too common. It would be very ignorant of me to say, well, it probably wasn't that, because it often is that when we see it in other media. But I will say that I sincerely hope it wasn't that. I hope that this is just, Bungie creates a complicated world and they go, oops. And I know it may sound irresponsible of me or disrespectful for me to put erasure of that into an oops category, but we've seen examples where Bungie's complicated storytelling or simplified approach to certain aspects of storytelling have come back and bitten them before. I think that's a fair diplomatic way of putting that, and it's a fair point.
That's true.
I agree. I don't like the erasure either. The whole like moment of grace thing that Ikora. So if you haven't seen it, Chad, in the Witch Queen Collector's Edition, Ikora is theorizing on the light and the dark, and there's this discussion about how the dark is the the dark is it's tied to memory. We've seen a lot of that. And then the question is like, why is the light, or why is the traveler, like, why isn't it tied to memory? What's going on there? And the idea that she gets is maybe it's what she calls kind of a moment of grace. If you have people who are brought back from the dead, or who can't die, who have memory of everything that's ever happened, then they may be able to hold grudges infinitely. They may never come to forgive another side. And her theory is that maybe the light tries to make you forget, so that you forget that humanity has had a fight with the Elixni forever, so you form friends with them because you're a good person. It's a fair thought. It's an interesting one. We will have to see if we learn a little bit more about the light and the darkness. Of course, the real, like, mature and nuanced reproach to that is, why can't you just learn to forgive? Why do you have to forget, right?
Wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah. So let's pull.
There's a lot more grace and forgiveness than there is in forgetfulness.
Yeah, very, very well said, I think. So, question. Let's turn the camera over to you, Elle. What is something in Destiny, in the story, or the way that the community sees it, that's a little not great? Again, we don't need to turn this into the complaining hour, but like, what's something that you're like, nah, I don't like that, or I wish more people saw this? Is there anything like that in Destiny for you, Elle?
Maybe the little representation Spanish community has.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think it's not very well, or not well represented on Destiny, at least narratively. There are entries like the one from the Bob the Disciple in Master difficulty, Sparrow, that shows I think it's a Mexican guardian, I think, Spanish for sure, but it's just that, or I don't know, some words, maybe as Gabe one said about his favorite food, but I don't see representation of Spanish communities in Destiny. That would be great to have.
Yeah.
Because what I see, for example, Festival of the Lost, is a well-represented activity, festival, that in case, well, it will be Dia de los Muertos from the Mexican culture,
Mm-hmm.
but Latin America community is far more larger than that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Argentina. Uh, we here we don't celebrate Dia de los Muertos, for example.
Mm-hmm.
We have other kind of traditions. Uh, Personally, I think we are not so grateful with our traditions because no, don't want to turn this into a complaint about certain things in real life.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of other traditions coming up here that makes our traditions uh, mm, not shown in our community with young people, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't see that with other communities in Latin America, for example, Brazilian, uh, I don't know, Bolivian, uh, Peruvian, for example. Uh, I would like the Destiny think about that
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to representing Latin American communities in Destiny. Uh, can it could be, I don't know, not a main character, but maybe one character
Mm-hmm.
or in the lore,
Mm-hmm.
not just encasing it in Festival of the Lost, for
Yeah,
example.
fair enough.
That would be great. That would be great. It's the mm, representatively, it will be the only tiny complaint I see. I don't. I feel that it's all northwestern center. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying it correctly. And it is not that it's not that it angers me, but I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. I did ask you for, something that was not great or something that bothered you. So yeah, as always, I think you've answered very well. Um, Now I have a question for you, Al, to follow up. And this is an observation I've made that is probably too simple. So correct me 100%. Um, would do you feel that Latin American communities or Spanish communities, um, that community is a very strong aspect of that identity and culture? Because from my perspective, as a Canadian, as someone very well situated in kind of North America, I feel like whenever I've interacted with people from certain parts of Europe and certain parts of Latin America, community is much more present. I find North Americans are very content to, you know, I don't know, live on their own or not see their family that much. And then when I speak with certain Europeans I know and certain Latin Americans I know, it feels like they wish to be more of a community. It's a stronger aspect of life. Is that correct? From what you're, is that something you have also seen, or is that just something maybe I've seen from the few individuals I've interacted with? What do you think?
Mm, I don't know. I see that most of us likes to be in big groups.
Mm.
Traditionally, for example, we I don't know, we use a certain date in the year, like Christmas
Mm-hmm.
or New Eve can be, but
Mm-hmm.
most of us Christmas. We used to engage in large kind of groups, uh, but I don't know. I don't feel like
Yeah,
it's
no, that's fair.
something like a norm
Mm-hmm.
or a thing. But yeah, most of Latin American community likes to be in big groups
Yeah.
to have familiar reunions or some sort of
Mm-hmm.
things like that.
Yeah, I asked because when I first traveled to Europe and I went to university here, I ran into some social issues where I was a little more isolated than the average person, and I think that I also feel like a lot of certain parts of North America have less of a community focus. And that caused friction with me. That my roommate was from India and she was very used to being in a community. So when I did not want to have dinner with her, just because I was kind of doing my own thing or having my own schedule, or when I wasn't on good terms or speaking with my family that often, or whenever classmates would decide to have dinner, but I didn't really feel like being that social and I would leave, it created some friction where everyone was confused why I was like that. And then part of that was my own fault. Part of that was just me. I was shy and I didn't want to be around everyone. But I also felt like a lot of people had a stronger expectation of community than I did. And I saw that happen a lot with my friends from Latin American communities and cultures and those from certain parts of Europe. So I was curious about that. And the reason why I brought that up is that, I agree. There should be more representation. And I feel like a game that stresses there are many things about the Destiny culture that apply to many cultures around the world, but it just seems like a very natural fit of, what little I personally know, and it is little. I will admit that 1,000,000%. I'm doing my best.
Kernel is saying me that, for example, one thing, and this is a thing I see a lot. Latin American communities are more expressive. Like we greet our people with a hug or a kiss in the cheek, some kind of things. In that aspect, we are sorry, but we are more expressive. I don't see that very often in others communities.
That's
That,
true.
but
As a
and that's not a bad thing. It's a thing about us. For me, it's normal. And with the whole thing about pandemics and COVID, I struggle
oh I
very much when I can like hug someone that,
oh
hey, hello. I can hug
it's
I can't hug someone or greet it with a
it's
kiss.
it's
That
interesting
kind of
because
things are normal here.
it's interesting because it's always complicated, right? Because I'm sure in that aspect you come across very, very social and very communal. In other aspects, you might be less social and communal than others. So, for example, Chad, I'm Canadian. I'm living in France, and I don't like. Is it feminine? La bise? Is it la bise?
Yes.
Yeah, la bise is the double kiss, the kiss on both cheeks that the French do.
Yeah.
I don't really care for that. I don't. It's not in my normal comfort level to go around kissing people I don't know. And what's funny about that is that if you not everyone will really enforce this, but the normal thing to do if you go to a party and you show up and there are 10 people in the room, the normal thing to do is to say hello to all of them and kiss each of them one by one on the cheek. No. That takes forever. That takes forever. Just say hello and do a big wave. I literally will say hello and I will make eye contact with everyone in the room and I will sweep my hand from my left to my right. Everyone has been acknowledged. Everyone has been said hello to. That is the end of and when I leave, I say goodbye, everybody. And maybe there's certain people I hug goodbye, but somebody whose name I barely know, I'm not bending to kiss them. But what's funny about that is so that comes across very community focused or very social, let's say. But then in France, they will look at certain North Americans and be like, wow, they're way too friendly. They're way too personal and friendly with me right away. And I'm like, you kiss them on the cheek. And they're like, yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. They want to know about my life. They want to say hello to me. They want to be my best friend, and they don't even know me. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, I feel you. I think all of that. It's also interesting too because like Bungie made Halo, and there's a strong. It's been a while since I played Halo, but there are like Latin American representation in the Halo games. I think.
Oh, I didn't play Halo.
Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but like there are I feel like there are characters. Maybe not. I don't actually remember that well. So yeah, to come into a game like Destiny and yeah, I mean, if I'm being cynical, maybe one of the reasons that there isn't is that that a lot of Destiny people are kind of ambiguous to the point where you can't really figure out where they're from, unless they have like some kind of American accent, like Amanda Holiday or something. Everybody else is kind of just generic, and like you're not really sure where they're from. So maybe they're not in the game on purpose because Bungie is trying to just kind of keep everybody as a kind of blank template or something. I don't know. I didn't make the game. I have no idea. No idea. Hold on.
My autistic ass is shook at the idea of people trying to kiss me and touch me without like asking. No, thank you.
Yeah, I mean they don't just like run at you. They will move toward you and lean in like they're going to do that, and then they will do that if that's what it's gonna happen. If you're in France, there's your warning. If you ever go to France and somebody leans in into an introduction and they lean in further than a handshake, they will likely want to kiss you on the cheek. So if you don't want that, you can just say, nah, I'm okay, and they'll be fine with it. But it's just that's their automatic. You know what I mean? If your automatic is not handshaking, and you go to a business convention, prepare for a lot of people to start trying to handshake you, So it's just a thing. Yeah. I guess we're not honeymooning in France. Honestly, it doesn't.
No.
It will never come up for you because, like, complete strangers don't necessarily do it. It's not like you're gonna walk into a store and you're like, "Hi, I'd like to buy a bag of," or like, "I'd like to buy like this loaf of bread," and they yeah, and they no.
It's just in reunions, family reunions.
Yeah, it would be
out of the reunions, but not in the street.
Yeah, it's more for people that you have. I don't know how to define levels of relationship with, but you have either some knowledge or relationship of them, or you're like, I don't know, maybe it'll be like they're your friend's friend. So, and again, you don't have to do these things. It's just what they are expecting, and you can trust me as a person who's been doing his best to fit in here, but also will never 100% assimilate because I'm just a weird guy. You can avoid those things. You just have to be aware that those things exist, and so that you can be you're not shocked when they happen and just go, oh, no, thank you, and keep going.
And mostly people will respect that.
Yeah. I've never had a problem with that. It's just one of those things where people fall into patterns, and if you disrupt the pattern, it might take them a half second to go, oh, okay. But I've never run into a person with a problem with that pattern. I'm sure if I ran into some like very traditional older person somebody's grandmother who was very like stern, sure, maybe that would be a problem. But we're kind of going off topic. Trystan, you had two things that bothered you. I think we've only covered.
We touched on it with Aldrin. We're good.
Aldrin, okay, a little, yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
It's the erasure of your entire personality for me.
Yeah, that's a big one. All right. So, did I ask this question earlier? Let me think.
Actually,
yeah.
Another thing on that specifically, he stated explicitly, and he's a great example, that he never, ever wanted to become a guardian. He hated guardians. So where does our preference and choice come into the traveler's decision? It doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't. You don't get. A lot of people would love to come back from the dead. A lot of people would love to forget their lives and come back from the dead. A lot of people would love to have superpowers. And those things do not necessarily line up with those who do end up becoming light bearers. So yeah, I don't disagree with you on that point. Like the philosophy of the Traveler is very flawed, or at least suspect, confusing, frustrating. Yeah, 100%. So I'm just catching up on chat here. I'm gonna live forever. Yeah. All right. Well, let's chat a little bit about this last year in Destiny, if you don't mind. So we had Witch Queen, and I'm just kind of popping into the director. We've had Season of Risen, Haunted, Plunder, and Seraph. Easy question for you both. We'll start with you, Elle. A season that you like the most, and a season you like the least of those 4.
Pretty much, the season I like the most is Seraph,
Mm-hmm.
and the least season of Plunder.
Plunder, okay. So what about Seraph has made you like the season so much? Let's move into those topics.
Rasputin.
Yeah.
I love how they explore the feelings about Rasputin, how he regrets some of his actions about Winter, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I mean, it's
for now, just that.
yeah. I mean, it's a great answer. Rasputin's, people have been waiting for him to come back. Long fan favorite, and yeah, it's cool. You can literally go and talk to him week to week, and
Now we can talk to him.
yeah, we can hear some more thoughts and some of his poetry and things like that. Let's see. Right. Okay, just catching up with chat. Trystan, how about you? Season you didn't like, and then a season you did like.
I'm gonna tie us together actually, and I'm gonna start at the back, or I'm gonna start at the current, move backwards. So with season of the Seraph that we're in right now, Felwinter is another good example of choices beyond death not being respected. He hated Rasputin, wanted nothing to do with Rasputin, but where is he now? He's part of Rasputin. And I just think we really need to examine our choices in not respecting the dead. Damn, like at this point, come on.
Yeah.
But from a storytelling standpoint, Season of the Seraph has been phenomenal. It's a great way to tie a lot of people in that we hadn't heard from for 3 seasons. Mara's touching back in. Elsie's character's done a weird 180, but she's back. Rasputin's back in the fold. He's a power again, we think, maybe, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people that needed to come back, and we got actual, in-game mention of Cameron being with Anna, which was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Backtracking one more season to Season of the Plunder, that was our beach episode.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't play it, but I heard it was good.
Um,
Just not my jam.
Fair enough.
Not my thing. Before that, Season of the Haunted was probably one of the best narrative seasons we've had in Destiny to date. It was fulfilling. It had a solid, gut punch to it. I liked a lot about it. Reconciling with your demons is always a great story tone to stand on. And then, I would argue that Season of the Risen was more part of the Witch Queen campaign than anything.
Yeah.
It was decent. It was decent. I'm not a big Saladin fan. I'm glad he's out of our hair, sort of. His entire thing with that season just irked me.
Mm-hmm.
But Witch Queen was phenomenal. I could not put it down. Like, I had not been as blown away by a Destiny expansion. Beyond Light was good. It was good. It hit a lot of good points, but Forsaken really was the last one that hit me that hard, I think.
Mm-hmm. So what I mean, I'm asking an obvious follow up here, but what gripped you with Witch Queen? Like, what was it about that story that you could go and do right now that, you know, you would love to revisit?
The entire area, everything about the throne world is just I could stay there forever. The allure of the sunken pyramid that you couldn't get to from the outset, even though you could see it from where you dropped in. Where is Amaru? Give me Amaru. What is he doing? Finch is just an engaging, lovable character. He's fun to listen to. He's friendly, and he's, you know, comedic relief in a really dark, tense situation. We got to see a lot of, you know, enemy types that were favored and maybe not favored brought back. And then, you know, the big narrative question of, oh, the Traveler, what's it doing? And is Savathun necessarily wrong? And all of these things. It was so well tied together. It was so cohesive narratively. And we don't get a lot of cohesion. And I hate to say that, but it's true. We have some seasons that are really good, and then we have some, like Season of the Plunder, I would argue, that feel like they're completely out of left field. But narrative cohesion is always a big draw for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Witch Queen was fantastic. I mean, just the fact that we can play it over and over and over and over in any order we want at any time. Why? Like, just make that a thing. Just make that for everything, okay, Bungie? Like, come on, do that for seasons too. Like, just do it. Random side note, I've complained in the chat. I've said my perfect map system in Destiny would be a combination of Destiny 1 and 2. Destiny 2 has a great map, but it's very blank. Destiny 1 has every mission ever, but it's so confusing. Just make it both so that we can filter the map, and then I can say, give me the story in order, I'll go do it. Give me just Witch Queen, okay, here it is, I'll go do that. So anyway, yeah, in terms of seasons, yeah, I really liked Haunted. I mean, just narratively speaking, focused on that, Haunted was fantastic. How do I say that? Okay, I feel like, but I've always joked that Destiny feels like a game that two typical, like, university, like, college people, athletic jock types got together and they're like, let's make Halo but more multiplayer. And they were like, oh, let's get our friend Steve in here. Steve, you wrote some ideas as to why we're shooting guns at aliens, right? And a lot of games do this where they just kind of they slap together like a very brief idea on a napkin. It's no secret that story often follows the game design. The game is designed first in its mechanics or its theme, or maybe there's like a premise, but beyond that, story is done later. But I feel like Bungie got a couple of like athletic people together and they're like, cool, did you write like something for a story? And somebody walks out with a phone book, like a giant amount. And the reason I say that is, like, people look at seasons like Season of Haunted, and sure, the gameplay, you can question that all you want. Story, the themes that they explored in Haunted, there were lots and lots of articles about it. I'm really glad to see, you know, they explored some real trauma. They explored some real feelings, and
Sorely overdue.
yeah, very overdue. They did it well. They gave, you know, and like, I will tell you a thing that I get annoyed with. I have a few as well, even though I try to focus not on that. But I made a video out of spite called Death and Going Evil, Why There Are More Options in Your Story. Because
it's a phenomenal video, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I'm really glad that you liked it. But yeah, I kept seeing, and I will always see those predictions. People see a character and they're like, they're gonna go evil. They see a character, like, they're gonna die. People believe that Zavala will die every week because having the good guy die is traumatic, or you know,
poor storytelling.
yeah, the whole sacrifice play, blah blah blah, and having Eris go evil, and is something that people have predicted ever since they first saw her, completely not understanding the point of her character, and Haunted was great for me for that, because just to see explored well the nuance of those characters, how they were haunted, what place they fit. I mean, Eris had some killer lines in Shadowkeep that people missed, mostly because it was tucked away in lore, but she's got one where she talks about how grief is a spiral or something, and you never...
I believe that's a ship description.
Right, but I think it's from her, isn't it? Or she, I don't know.
It is, yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and where you're never like, you're always circling it. She mentions, I think, in Haunted, like, basically I could visit my nightmare and break free from it, but instead I'm just gonna hold on to my grief because I can do that. I there's a value in that, or there's a there's a part of my identity that's connected with that, and and the fact that they use her character as a way of guiding other characters toward resolving that trauma, brilliantly well done. I mean, I love this game. Is interesting because on the one hand it's pew pew guns and lasers and stuff, and and then you start to think about it a little bit more and you're like, these people live forever and they don't remember who they were, and they see horrible stuff, and there's no therapist character, and not that having Eris like guide people through their through all that trauma is a proper substitute for therapy, of course, but in a video game setting especially, it was very refreshing for me to see the narrative explicitly cover that. Obviously, it's never enough. Obviously, go to therapy. But
I will not.
If you want to, then do, and if you don't want to, then don't. But I'm just saying that, like, it was just refreshing to see a game, like a collection of pixels meant for like action entertainment to cover that. That's what I really enjoyed about Haunted. Seraph, lots of fun.
So good.
Yeah, Seraph, lots of fun. Risen was fine, and I do agree that it was basically just wrapped up within. I don't have as much of a connection. Like I really value Crow, but I don't have as much of a connection as a lot of other people do. That's not a bad thing. It's just like there are lots of proposals of marriage to that character from the community, and I'm just kind of like, he's my friend. And Saladin is fine,
sorry,
but my favorite thing, and it's just a tiny thing. My favorite thing about Season of Risen is one of the opening cutscenes where Zavala is describing the threat of the Luthen Hive, and he's saying, Ikora and the Hidden are handling the throne world. And then Keitel looks over and says, "You want me to hit them?" And Zavala says, "We need us to hit them," or something like that. It's the diplomatic way that he is working together. And like you mentioned story cohesion, I'm just a big fan of ally cohesion. I love when everybody's working together. They all, even if they disagree on methodology or they disagree on certain things, they all agree on like what needs to be done, and they all go and do their little parts. I just call me goody two shoes or whatever, but I really enjoyed that. It was nice to see that relationship blossoming from Season of Chosen, and that allyship working, just new exciting allies of the city, and I really like that. So, people talking about soundtracks, nice. Yeah. So,
I was really excited by everything that happened with Witch Queen and Season of the Risen, if only because, and Scarlet Rebel can attest to this, I called it 3 years ago that we would be working with both the Elixni and the Cabal.
What
And
what
I
tipped
also
you
had
off?
The Vex. It's the autism pattern recognition. But I also said that the Vex would be in that, in terms of Praedyth being their voice. Praedyth was teased really heavily in Season of the Undying, but we haven't heard anything else on that, so I'm still holding out hope.
Still early. So, how about you, Elle? Did you have any hopes that we would be working with the Cabal or the Elixir? Did you have any predictions on that, or was it a pleasant development and surprise for you?
Not it, for me, it was not a surprise. I think back on, I don't know if it was on Season of the Forge or just like that. But it's not that I kind of predicted that. It was a pleasant surprise, but it's a thing it could be expected. Just because the main problem here, the main villain, for just to say, not is that it is the main villain, the darkness, the force behind the darkness, and really, in fact, not the darkness itself.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't feel it was a wow surprise. No, it felt organic. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I was very excited for it. You know, I just like, I love that kind of stuff, and I was really, really happy to see. I mean, before, when was that? I have to think about when we did it, but I think if he's still in the chat with us, our friend Somlab and another friend of ours, we made a video on the history of the Elixir before. It might have been around the time of 0 Hour, if not earlier. I'm trying to remember. But it felt really good as I was exploring their history again. It felt really good once I did see them working with us. I was like, yes, you know, like it's always good to see that depth and nuance that is sometimes a Destiny and sometimes not, right? To see this race of characters who have had a really difficult time, and to have them, you know, now working with us. I was actually, this is random, but I was actually surprised. The part that surprised me the most was the part where we actually had a mission in Beyond Light that involved getting House Light or at least those who didn't want to partner up with Salvation off of Europa. And I'll tell you the reason why. We normally don't do a lot of like civilian saving in Destiny. It's off to the side, it's implied, blah blah blah. And it's just something I did not expect to see so blatantly. I figured we'd get some like you know, I was wondering to myself when Beyond Light came out, like, oh, are there going to be, you know, Elixir who are not involved, or are they all just House Salvation now? I did not expect to actually see like just see us involved with that. It was a welcome change. All right, let's amp things up. I think we've got about half an hour left. Let's do a quick discussion. I think this is the way we could do it. Quick discussion of Lightfall, what you're hoping for, what you're excited about. Then maybe a fantasy wish list, and I'll put this caveat on it. What you would, if you could just wake up and jump into Destiny, what would you like to play? What kind of experience would you like to have? And then we'll turn it over to Q&A, I think, from the audience, from the chat. So, Lightfall. Lightfall's coming. I'll go first because, I'm just trying to rotate the order. I'm excited for Lightfall. I'm excited for Neomuna. Trystan, you tried to ruffle my feathers, I think, a while ago, asking me how it feels to go to Neomuna before we go to the last city. Yeah, I'm not happy that I'm not extremely thrilled that we're going to go to a different city before we go to our own. But, the last city doesn't need me to be in it for me to love it and wish for it to be safe. I'm excited for Neomuna, and I hope that we don't get the same high level, oh look, there's a city over there, but you never see it or see anyone in it kind of feel. It might happen. It probably will. Most video games do that. They just kind of imply there's a city and then they evacuate them completely. But that's what I'm excited for. Strand looks fun. I'm excited to learn more about this group and to go to a new place. Pretty high level, covered a lot of points there. But yeah, let's start with you, Trystan. What Lightfall? What's got you excited, if anything?
Hey, I've got a couple. I'm really, really, really stoked about the inclusion of non-binary characters at the forefront. We need more of that. We definitely need more of that. Give us more genderqueer characters in general. I really hope they don't do that thing where they're like, oh, they use they, them pronouns, but they look exactly like a man or exactly like a woman. Give us actual representation. Anything like that is good. I'm also excited about Strand. The Warlock Strand subclass looks amazing. Little baby bugs. I'm hopeful for some on-screen interaction between Osiris and Saint. I know we got a little hand-drawn cutscene of them together, but let them move together, let them exist together. I'm also excited to have a queer mentor character as the main forefront guiding light, so to speak. It looks like. I'm also low-key hopeful that in one of the next seasons for this year, Syr comes back, Syr Ido. It gets closer and closer to being a possibility every day. Her and Praedyth are my two big, I hope they make a appearance, folks.
Yeah. I mean, I hope so too. It's been a long time. And I'm just on the Praedyth point, I'm really surprised we have not seen Praedyth, considering the aspect lore book was so okay.
Holds up knife. Me too.
Yeah, I mean, the aspect lore book, chat, if you haven't read it, it basically is okay, there's a bunch of researchers trapped in Vex space. And then the book ends with them going, cool, we have now set a course for reality. Here we go. And that's it. So, yeah. L.
Maybe that will be developed, I don't know, when Light and Dark Saga ends, maybe? In the new part of Destiny.
Yeah, I mean, it's been theorized a lot, by myself included, that maybe the Vex will kind of be the next center stage thing once we're not dealing with light/dark as heavily. So yeah, maybe. So L, Lightfall's coming. What are you thinking? How are you feeling?
Very, very hyped. I don't know. I didn't theorize that much. I'm excited to try Strand, but I don't know. I don't feel compelled to say anything to be a theorizing thing. I like to see a new mentor for us. That it's really good. The last mentor was Kate, but which he died. But I'm glad to see a new mentor for us. That will be good. And I'm curious about, and this is when I played Spire of the Watcher, I feel curious about what is what Osiris said. I need this because this brought my visions. I'm really curious about that, and if Lightfall will have answers for what Osiris is expecting. I don't know, but above all, I'm excited to Lightfall. I want to February to end.
Yeah, yeah, very, very excited for that. Um, let's see here. Lore implications on strand. Got some questions coming in for the Q&A. I'll do my best to scroll back to these chat when we get there. I don't want to miss them, but you know the fleeting nature of my own attention. um, yeah, I'm very excited for it. New powers always exciting, and um, yeah, new story, new
Nice to see you.
amping up the conflict, increasing the tension of it. Okay, I really, really hope that we move the information, questions, and conflict of Light and Dark forward. I don't know about you. I know we've gotten a lot about like the darkness being memory and like let's question the light some more and etc. But I still feel like we really don't know a lot, or like we're way on the edge of what we do know, and I'm kind of tired of that. You know, this is like, I don't know. This is like your parents hinting that like, oh, you'll find out when you're older, and I'm like, I'm older now. I am older now, and I want to know. I want to move this forward. You know, like, and you know, I can't be too mean because like I'm not a writer, and Bungie is like, you know, switched up teams and they've been working on so much, but like Neomuna came out of nowhere. The Witness, you could argue, didn't exactly come out of nowhere, but I could also argue did, or at least, you know, it's a new name on an old point. And I want Lightfall to move the chess pieces forward. I want the conflict to move forward. I want our knowledge to move forward, because I get frustrated that like it's like, you know, the Light and Dark saga are finally fighting, and I'm like, cool. Is the Traveler alive? Is the Traveler like I know Tristan's answer is who cares, but like is it active? You know, like, is there really a Light and Dark conflict? Like, if we all agree that
Yes.
okay, well, the Traveler's like inactivity, whether it's a part of its philosophy or not, is frustrating to me, and I'm just kind of like, are we can we move this forward? Because I really feel, yeah, I just really feel like it's been a lot of like listening to a trailer for a movie and not actually watching the movie. You know what I mean? So I'm really excited for Lightfall to begin that kind of journey toward the end of the Light Dark saga, or at least to the, you know, to a lot of the conflicts that we've been hinted at since day one of the game, right?
I do think the Traveler is alive because it has spoken to us. If you'll remember back during the Red War campaign, when you get the new subclasses, it actually speaks to you during that quest when you're on Io, chasing the trees.
Yeah, that's true. And like it was active at Season of Arrivals of like pushing the darkness, or at least the veiling back a little bit. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, what does it want? Because we've gotten more hints at what it wants from presumably its opponent than we have from it. And maybe, you know, some would even theorize that's the you know, the light moves in mysterious ways, or the light you know.
That though.
Sorry?
I said miss me with that though, like
Yeah. I just
I feel like it's been pretty blatant that the Traveler wants protection.
just
Because it
protection
leaves
for
cultures
itself.
that cannot protect it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my big hinging point, but I'm on the fringes, so.
I mean, I don't think that's an unreasonable, like, I don't think that's unreasonable, but it's like, if, you know, the Book of Unveiling, is it the truth? Is it the whole truth? Is there more? Uh, you know what I mean? Like, if we didn't have unveiling, we would have. I feel like we would have breadcrumbs.
You're right.
And it's frustrating for us to be promised a meal and then just keep getting like little snack after little snack. It's like, no, I'm good. You know, I've got like nine. If I play one character, I have like 9 supers I can throw at you. So just like, and I've invested however many years into it. Let's go. You know, I'm ready. You know, as a cinematic example for anybody who's watched something like the Avengers, there's a acoustic moment where all the characters are arriving and the music is building, but it does a kind of funny slash epic slash annoying, depending on where you're sitting, where you're waiting kind of for the bass to drop, and then
We're being edged.
yeah, you're exactly, you're being narratively edged. So it's yeah, Dreams of Alpha. Okay, but everybody's pointing out examples of stuff, but it's from years ago, right? Yes, maybe a Grimoire Destination turns out to be Neomuna. That's fair. Maybe it's not out of nowhere. Dreams of Alpha Lupi, you know, etc., etc. I mean, you could argue that the Radiant Accipiter ship and the Hawkmoon were made for Crow, which is weird because we own them, by the Traveler. Why? For protection, maybe to keep us loyal to it, maybe. It's just yeah, I'm excited for a lot of stuff, but like there's a part of me that's like, okay, can someone define the conflict here? Can we define the stakes? You know, and like the witness, you know, if we separate the darkness, as in the force of, and the witness, and assume that the witness is assume the witness is the bad person for whatever reason, or will become the bad person because their goals do not align with ours or our survival at all. Okay, what does it want? The pale heart, you know? It feels like I don't know. It feels like we've had a lot of episodes that kind of hint that actually, I never watched it, but doesn't Dragon Ball Z do this where they're like, we're gonna fight, and then they don't fight for like
For 14 episodes.
right, you know? Just so yeah, that's kind of what I feel, but I'm excited for it. I like, that's a big complaint, and I don't mean to be a big complaint fest, but I am very excited for it. It's gonna be a cool new location, cool new powers. Yeah. And
It'd be cool.
yeah, go ahead.
It'd be cool if Lightfall will explain what actually happened in the collapse, because for what I think or what I see in many lore books, aside of the one from, which is, I think, Ada's one's mother, I think, Henrietta. It'll be nice to know what exactly happened. Um, what actually happened? What triggered it? Because that's what we actually want to know, because of Rasputin, or what we are doing right now. Or, for example, what LC? Yes, LC said about in his loop travel around in her time travel in loop. She always said there's gotta be something that triggers it, the collapse. I mean, it'll be interesting to know what triggered the first collapse, and I think it'll be cool if in the year of Nightfall we could learn what triggered the first collapse. I know this will likely be the presumably second collapse. I don't know if I'm correct what I'm saying, but
I mean,
it'll be nice.
yeah, it's been thought of that it might be. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's another thing. Like, there's a lot of Destiny 1 I feel like was a lot of breadcrumbs, world building, threads, and Destiny 2 for better or for worse has been pulling a lot of those threads together, filling in the gaps. But there are still some gaps that I feel are very prominent and kind of need to be filled in already. I don't think every gap in Destiny's story needs to be filled in. I think there's room for interpretation,
Mm.
ambiguity, but I do feel like some gaps should be filled in by now, or at some point, because they are important for us, understanding the understanding the what's happening in Destiny. Okay, well, that sounds like we've kind of circled around that, and chat's getting a little antsy with their questions. So let's do a quick question for you. Uh, yeah, We'll start with my cue, and my question: if you could log into Destiny and have, an experience in Destiny made just for you, that did not cost Bungie any time or money or effort. They had it and they were able to put it together for you, and it is exactly what you want, and it's perfect. What would it be? What would it involve? You want to go fishing? You want to go do Farmville, or you want to do something? What would that be? So, Trystan, let's start with you again.
The ability to 1v1 Mara Sov in the Crucible.
Which I'm trying to remember.
In all seriousness, though, I would love the ability to go to the reef. I know you want to go to the city. I've always wanted to go to the reef, outside of the Vestian outpost. So let me see their markets. Let me see their people. Let me see their children. Let me see their old people. Let me see, the elders of their culture, and let me learn more about them. I've always been deeply interested in the Awoken. Give me more of them.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see the black hole.
Yeah, I mean, like, when you first get to the Dreaming City, Petra says, like, this is one place of many that we have, hidden. So, yeah, show us.
Either that, or let me bring Clovis II back to life. I have questions for him.
Clovis II, like the sun, or?
Yes, the sun.
Okay. What would you ask Clovis?
We don't have time for that.
Ah, okay.
I had a friend whose dog was Clovis.
Apparently, my fiance Juliet's had a friend whose dog's name was Clovis. So there you go.
A phenomenal name.
But it was nice.
Yeah. Elle, how about you? Perfect Destiny experience made just for you. What would it be?
Just as Dorg is saying, clan holes, please. That would be great. A space we can socialize, not just with our clan, but with others. Why not? That will be fun. It'll be a way to inside Destiny, the game Destiny, to interact with other communities around the world that are playing. And related to the story, I would like to go to different kind of scenarios like the Dreaming City. I would like to know the city itself. We only know the outskirts. We only know if we play the raid Last Wish. We know a part of the city and the spire. I would like to go to the raid. That will be cool. The city. It's the place I would like to know better, to know all the diversity the city has, because I know has diversity. I mean, there's a lot of people there. There's almost the whole Earth's population right now there, and we only know the people that it's only in the tower. We
Mm-hmm.
don't know what. No, we don't know the, I don't know, the cultures they have, the how they mix uh, through the centuries, um, and I don't know what's more.
Yeah.
Mm, I think it. That's all.
Oh, I mean, yeah. To I agree with you.
And what little Shiver is saying too
Yeah,
is
yeah. I'll.
let Hawthorne be what she was meant to be, the liaison between the city and the tower, because we talk about that. I think it's a shame he hasn't been developed more.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, to kind of to bridge your answers. I mean, Tristan, you get a you get authorization to go to the reef. I'd love to go with you if there's room.
Take you.
I mean, obviously, I talk about the city, but like, I don't. The only emotional difference I feel between the city and the reef is that my character isn't from there, but I still love to go. I still see what it represents, so I would love that as well for many of the same reasons. I'll come back to the city in a second because I'll answer the question for me. But yeah, clan halls would be great. I had this fun idea, way too much work. All right, like somebody rich would have to walk into Bungie and be like, I have a lot of money and I'm going to make this happen and I don't care about anything else, angering a lot of the community, but what doesn't. My idea for clan halls would be, imagine that when you load into the tower, there's a separate piece built onto the annex that loads in, and it makes like a like kind of an alleyway, inside of which there are the clan halls. And I don't know what the capacity in the towers. Let's just say, for example, that it's 16. Let's say 16 people can be in the tower at once. The game would go, okay, of those 16 people, how many are in different clans? And then it would form, it would put that all of their clan halls in that alleyway. And when you go to that alleyway, what you see on the outside, some decoration, maybe a name. If you walk up to it, you can like read the sign, or you can hold it, like kind of like when you inspect somebody's clan in game. But outside, it's a little visual. This guy. Oh, this is a Gambit clan. Everything's green. Everything's Drifter. Everything's Gambit. Oh, this is a Raid clan. Everything's like that.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people outside. And you can just, maybe there's like a little table that you can do an arm wrestle on, or there's a table like you can, whatever. You can interact and hang out with people there. And if you walk up to one of those clan halls, and you like what you see, you can push a button to go in and look around. And if you want to push a different button, you can message whoever is in the tower at the moment that's in that clan. So it's an example chat. If any of you pop in, you pop down to the alley and you see this strange northern resistance with a red tree, emblazoned on it, and you read our little motto, and you're like, wow, what is that? Okay. And you go inside and you look and see, wow, like the clan leader has done like 1,000 dungeons, and they seem to have a good mix of people from all over, and they're not too serious, and they can write in full sentences. And then you click a button and you can like message me and be like, hey, got any room in your clan? And then I'll walk over and I'll give you the high five emote, and then we'll start chatting, right? That's like, in a physical thing, I'd love that. Gonna double answer in a way, because Scarlett, I think, asked. I talk about the city a lot. Emotionally, the reason I talk about the city is because this is going to sound like so typical and so whatever, but I play Destiny for a lot of reasons. One of them is I want to be a hero. One of them is I want to help people. I love that in all real seriousness, I love the fact that Destiny is a game that brings our communities together, and it's a game that I can help people. I can help them through content. I can help them figure out how to play Destiny. I can also help them in our community. I can help them maybe see a community leader who isn't just raging or who tries to listen more than speak. But in Fantasyland, I like being a hero. I like protecting. I don't want to be a guardian so I can go out and destroy a monster unless I feel the monster is actually threatening my people. And so when I mention wanting to go to the city, it's because I want to feel that emotional connection. I feel those stakes. And in terms of what I would want to see or do in the city, same thing that Trystan mentioned. The marketplaces, the people. So, what would I want to do in the city? I would want to stroll down a street, slow down because there's a kid running across, like, in my way, hear somebody calling out, "Hey, Guardian," blah, blah, blah. Hear cheers going up because on the outskirts there's the City 500 where the sparrows are racing through. Marcus Wren takes the lead. Move over, sit down, push an emote to just have a drink or have a book to read. Go to a vendor. There's an Elixni there, and they wave me over with a couple of hands while they finish serving a customer with a few other hands, and they show me the textiles they've been weaving, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then they pull out a gun, and I'm like, no, I'm okay. And they're like, okay, and they go back to eating ramen while I move over to the Cabal, who's got some wares of their own, stuff like that. I love I love the city as being this big communal space that there's a lot of different kinds of people. And there's a concept art of like a bunch of like guardians like walking down the street in a parade. And I don't need a parade, but mix it up. Go to a bar, see a bunch of normal, like mortal people, see a bunch of guardians, right? See a bunch of other alien races, stuff like that. That would be what I want. I don't know how much time I have in Destiny, a lot, but I bet a lot of it is in the tower, just standing around doing what I'm doing right now. If I could water the plants in the tower as a little mini game, I would do it. Yeah, Juliet's mentioning Animal Crossing, so.
Just thinking Animal Crossing Destiny Edition.
Yeah, that's another thing. I think Destiny is interesting to me. I'm curious if Sony is going to pick up on this, but Destiny, I feel, is an IP. It's an intellectual property that has a lot of width and depth, and I'm very biased, but I feel like in a world where we complain that Hollywood just does the same thing over and over again, I feel like Destiny has so much potential to be so many other things. And that's scary because, like, you have other people controlling the direction of certain content. But, like, I see no, like, on a high level, simplistic level, I see no restriction to, like, Destiny could be Destiny Farmville. Destiny could be Tower Defense, literally. Like, there's so many other kinds of things that I feel like Destiny could be. And I'm curious if, Sony is going to try to do that. Maybe a little concerned too, but curious. All right, so chat, I'm going to scroll up quite a lot because feel free to pop your questions in the channel, but there were a few that were specifically asked by Scarlett a million years ago. Here we go. And I think maybe 6 and whoever else. Let me see. Yeah, Sam, I agree. The Elixni video that we did together was great. Where was it? Okay, from Scarlet Rebel, Q&A, Q for Trystan. What do you think the future holds for Clovis Bray?
My honest answer or my heart's hope answer?
Let's do both. Why not?
Honestly, he's probably going to get redundancied, like Hawthorne has. I foresee that happening as we get further and further into the conflict with the light and dark. As if we're not already neck deep, but like, you know what I mean. We're getting into the territory of being, up the witness's butt now. So yeah, he's going to get redundancied. And then Europa's going to get vaulted and I'm going to cry. What I hope happens... What I hope happens is that he dies as he lived, being a pain in everybody's butt, and trying to play God. He's one of my favorite characters because, and they did this with this season, they brought back his long-term goal of becoming the Luca, the last universal common ancestor to humanity, which you can read about in the Beyond Light Collector's Edition lore if you haven't. Phenomenal lore, great lore, some of my favorite. Lots of technical jargon, but it's really good to illustrate who he is as a character, because yes, he's terrible, yes, he's awful, but in his way he cared. And I think that is just such a fascinating concept to explore, and I would love to see more done with it. Him being awful and being terrible, but caring very deeply.
Are you judging me for selling out and moving back to the city?
Nice. Yeah, I think that's great. 2 answers for 1. L, question for you, also from Scarlet Rebel. Who is your favorite hunter character and why?
Kate. I like his character. It's a shame he died. I think it's the obvious answer, but I don't know. The lore about him, his character, and I'm going to rewind on this. I like to play Destiny 1 just because I know in there Cade act as a mentor for us in almost, I think, in almost all the campaigns. But I like Cade because I don't know his story, how he I don't know how to explain it, sorry.
No, yeah, keep going.
It's nice to have friends.
I really feel compelled with his story. I see him as a don't know, a lone character maybe. That try to hide with a mask his story and try to be a person who try to lift up his favorite guardian, as in that case. I don't know. Sorry.
No,
I don't know how to explain why he is really important to me.
I mean,
when I start to play Destiny, I feel very attracted to his character. He was this lively character who always cheer up his fire team. In this case, Zavala and Naikora. And almost feel like he doesn't take things too much serious, but in the end and in the bottom of all that, he really cares. He really cared, in fact. That's because I think unfortunately died because he cared about when maybe the Vanguard, like an institution, really didn't feel like trying to intervene with the Scorn issue and the Rift. I think it was the Scorn issue.
Yeah.
He just said, screw this, I want to help because Petra is my friend. I care about what is happening with the Awoken, with this Scorn thing. And he really felt that and go knowing that he will be that maybe that will be held as his last mission. I think I don't know how to explain it
Yeah.
not in English.
I think. Well,
Sorry.
I think you've done a great job. Yeah. It's not an uncommon theory or headcanon, but I really think it's easy and delightful for me to imagine that the character of Malcolm Reynolds from Firefly and Serenity could be a possible prequel to the character of who Cade and Cade 6 became. Doesn't matter if it's true or not. I don't need to hold it to be 100% true, but the the character of Malcolm Reynolds, it's very lone. He's a lone character, but he cares very much about his people and his cause eventually. And yeah, and with Cade, I feel the same thing. Like Cade very much used humor as a mask. Used yeah, I felt a very I'm not a hunter. I played only a little bit of a hunter in Destiny 1, but I really, and there's a reason. Besides, Nathan Fillion or Nolan North's like magnetism, there's a reason that people really gravitated toward Cade. He's very human, very relatable, inspirational, and I agree. So yeah,
Aside of the cocky thing we hunters have,
mhm.
and that, as you have mentioned earlier about the classes being specified as our characters now,
Mhm.
mood, sentiments,
Yeah.
feelings could be. Uh, I aside that I feel that Kate, in case, uh, what most of the hunters are, noble, funny, but also a person who cares
Yeah.
about her companions, his fire team in that case.
Mhm.
I don't know, and the how can I feel? I say it. Uh, the persons of communities that not I don't want to say relegated or left apart, but
Yeah, I think Cade had perspective to see people that were not often seen, and to
mm,
include them and to lift them up, bring them together. Um, you
yeah,
you see that even in his comic, the Cade 6 comic, where he's bringing together a bunch of people who would likely not be considered or brought together.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Um, Yeah, I agree. Another quick question for you, L. It's just the order that these are coming in. Do you have any thoughts? This is from Little She Bear. Do you have any thoughts on Zavala's name, but the
Oh,
lack of connection to Spain/Hispanic culture? Does that bother
yeah.
you? Is that interesting? What do you think?
No, I found it funny because that name it's actually a surname. I don't recall having seen it used as a name
Mm-hmm.
properly.
Mm-hmm.
It's more common to see it as a surname, like I don't know, uh, Ruben Zavala, for
Mm-hmm.
example. Uh, that sort of thing. I think I answered that and said I don't recall. I'm trying to scroll it. Um, I think it's Basque. I think
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that's what.
because it has
Yeah,
a Spanish origin. But I don't feel like annoyed about that. I found it funny, just that when I first time I heard Zavala's name was it's a surname and was just like that.
yeah, and I mean, funny enough, I mean, you can interpret anything any way you want, but in a way, there. I do not think that what I'm about to say was intentional. But if you take a character and you make it so that the only way you refer to that character is by their last name, a lot of times that usually suggests a kind of formality or seriousness about a character. So again, I do not think Bungie did that on purpose, but it's an interesting result. If you view the name Zavala as a last name and you feel like you are only referring to him by Commander Zavala, there is a kind of distant, authoritative, formal feeling when you say, you know, like Commander Halsey or Commander Zavala, Commander Shepard, rather than their first name if they have one. You know, so yeah, I think I don't think that was intentional on Bungie's part, but I think it's an interesting consequence. Yeah. Okay. Scrolling. Lots of talk in the chat. Chat, if you have any Q&A, let me know. I'm just kind of catching up on what you've been talking about. Yeah, Deputy Commander Sloan. Yeah.
That Sloan is a name.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was just reading what was in the chat, but yeah. Yeah, so chat, this is the time for your questions and answers. Throw them in the chat and let us know what you think. Trystan or Elle, do you have questions for each other, or for the chat, or for me, or for the traveler, or do you have questions of your own?
I have a question regarding Cade, and I like Cade. We all like Cade, but I like to pose this question to people who like Cade because nobody can ever really give me a good answer. How did you feel about his willing imprisonment of a man who was clearly very sick and needed help?
I'm sorry?
So in Forsaken, Cade had a hand in putting Prince Uldren in the Prison of Elders.
Yeah.
He was there, he witnessed it, he allowed it to happen, he did not stop it. When Prince Uldren was clearly not himself, and everybody, commented on that. So I just am kind of curious what your thoughts on that are, because I like hearing everybody's perspective on that specific thing.
I really don't have an opinion about that. In fact, I think I read, unfortunately, one time the comic book, but I don't know. I don't feel angry. I don't feel excited, but don't know. I don't have a clear answer for you.
I have
fine. That's totally fine.
I have a perspective on that.
Give it to me.
Triage. That's my short answer. I feel like the Reef, Prison of Elders, Scorn situation, the Barons, Forsaken itself, I feel like that whole incident was triage. Petra was left without a without a queen, potentially without a prince. Then he came back, then he was gone again, then he's back, but he's different. And now he, something's really wrong with him and he needs help. Containment. I don't think it was right. You could argue that you can go real deep into this conversation about the nature of prison itself. As I mentioned earlier, Destiny, like all video games, has a severe, and like maybe like a lot of life, has a severe lack of like mental health support or recognition or observation. But I just feel that, Uldren was not right. Something was happening. Uldren was a threat. And for better or for worse, they thought to contain him. And yeah, more effort could have been done to help. But I think at the time, the feeling I get is that for whatever reason, either because there was a lack or because there was just a lack of support, I just feel like there was a lack of resources to deal with the Reef. That's my thinking.
You're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong. It was on the back of two very, very big but very contained issues. So there probably wasn't bandwidth to deal with what was going on, and we shouldn't have pushed, but we did because, Cade didn't know how to mind his business, and that was what everybody liked about him. Justice for Uldren Sov.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, such a layered character. Even like just like early lore of the character. Yeah.
I know I've talked about him a lot. He's just a good, like, so much has happened.
Mm-hmm. Reading up on chat. Tower Mom's agreeing with you. Broke her heart. I'll come back to your question in a second, Dork. Though she barely maintained Altered's treatment was a damn good reason why Zavala didn't want the city to wade into war with the Reef to avenge Cade. Mara, quote-unquote, dead, the ruling region throwing the heir to the throne, the prison vanguard helping her. The optics were terrible. The city had no business getting deeper into that. Just awful. Yeah, I mean, I am really glad, happened quite a little later, but yeah, it was very funny, actually. The Forsaken not being in the game is interesting because obviously we lost a lot of like memories and content and stuff like that, but
Context as well.
Context. The thing is, you mentioned that I feel
Vanguard to sponsor and
I want everyone
It's like
to
Siva.
Well, yeah, here's the thing. I want everybody to understand that what I'm about to say will sound like I think I know everything, but I really, really don't, and I acknowledge that. I get things wrong all the time. I miss things. I don't see things. But I really feel like Forsaken, and many other cases in the game, but I feel like Forsaken either did some things so subtly or they did other things so loudly that a lot of people missed what was right in front of them. People like got unbelievably upset at Aldrin, at Zavala.
Tumblr was wild around that time.
It was
I got death threats, like
right,
aggressive death threats.
Right, exactly. And the thing is, you still will. Not maybe the same like population of it, I guess, but I feel like there are still some very hard feelings there, and it's ridiculous. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a big Zavala fan, and when he made the choice to not, pursue, it made sense to me. He's thinking of the city. Did I like the fact he didn't stand up for a friend? No, of course not. But like, I personally, I am able to take my feelings and put them into a box that I can look at, and I can look at another box and go, yeah, you got to take care of the city. I get it. In fact, you know what? You take care of the city, and I will go hunt down the barons. Like it, and narratively, it made sense. It fit into the Western revenge theme. And then on Aldrin's case, I mean, literally, the man is like corrupted of some kind. He's having hallucinations the whole time, and people are like, death to Aldrin for killing my favorite character. I'm like, Cade went out how he lived. Are you kidding me? That man did not want to go behind a desk. That man wanted to go. I mean, he rode down a giant portion of the prison of elders, crashing into the ground. Like, still one of the coolest cutscenes. Like, the last stand of the gunslinger is one of the coolest cutscenes of any video game I've ever seen. Like, I love Cade, but Cade went out exactly doing what he wanted to do. As you said, Elle, he cared and he fought to care. So people need to like not be.
Certainly, he knows. He knew he was going to die. That's because narratively, I think Bungie present Cade as with an heroic stand. That's because I think he knew he was going to die, and then the thing that narratives that Bungie developed this scene was, well, we are going to present his last stand as an heroic thing, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, it's just it's a thing where people. I just feel that people. It's good that a game can move you, or like a piece of media can move you emotionally. But obviously, one, don't utter death threats. What's wrong with you? Two, and
That's okay, and I still don't know. I still try to comprehend why people act like that. As
Well,
the same thing, for example, with Season of Splicer.
mm,
Most of of
Are
my
you judging me
experience
for selling out
playing
and moving
throughout
back to the
Season
city?
of Splicer was
You are
I
judging
know
me.
what's the narrative point of showing what is happening with House of Light inside the city walls.
mm,
I know the thematic, I know, but I think personally, the thing that make my experience with that season a bit of I don't know, hard thing to endure was the thing about always uh, showing the community
View up here is pretty good
saying
too, I
awful
guess.
things about one character.
If you like
I
coffee.
think the same happened with
mm,
the thing about Aldrin.
mm-hmm,
Like, why? Why the community has to be that crude? I
yeah,
don't understand. I think my experience was, oh, okay, I want to play this season because it's just focusing on a real life issue. I feel really compelled about
Captain.
that.
mm-hmm,
But I see the I don't like how community reacts sometimes.
yeah,
I am a cave stan, and I don't know. I find hard to comprehend why people like me, Kate Stan, uh, try go to a DM of a random people and say,
mm,
you deserve to death because you like Aldrin
yeah,
and
yeah.
he
It's
it's like why the same thing like on Splicer. Oh yeah, see, Lakshmi is an awful
mm,
character. No, you need to be more aggressive with her. She's a racist. Like
yeah,
why?
yeah.
And
It's
most
Ran
of
to
the
the
things
city when
that
I was
that
a
make
kid.
me feel
You might never
really
know.
like God, I can stand scrolling down Twitter on the hashtag Destiny 2 uh, to know why it's the opinion on this season, on this story, la da
mm.
da.
So I will.
That's why.
Yeah, I don't want to. I never want to interrupt you, Al, but I want to add to what you're saying. I and let Tristan jump in because I'm sure Tristan's biting
Mhm.
his tongue off at this point. But I feel I feel like okay, either out of not caring about it, ignorance over the impact, uh, or an unwillingness to guide the community. I feel like Bungie takes a hands off approach to how their community interprets or feels about the
Plan
story
is
or
just
the
to find one
events
and choose to
in
join.
Destiny. I feel like they're either choosing to do that or they don't think that they don't even think about it or they don't think that it will be as much of a
The
problem
bird
of it.
distract you?
And I do feel that that is a lack because in other places they try to really, they say, hey, look, before we do our Beyond Light showcase, we're going to have several minutes in tribute of how terrible certain things are going on right now. Oh, there's this injustice in the world, and we're going to push back against that. It's one of the reasons I'm very proud to be a Guardian, to be a Destiny Bungie follower, because they seem to try to do a lot of things, to promote a lot of the ideals that I have. But I will admit that I feel like they just kind of go, here's the story, here's the lore, and and maybe they don't care, maybe they feel that they shouldn't be biased or bias the community, but I feel like they need to step in every now and again and go, hey, stop, you know
Yes,
we we
please.
we killed Cade, we
What you
wrote
gonna
it
say?
down, we made it happen, stop sending threats. It was a narrative choice. Or like, Aldrin was corrupted. There was a
The bird
problem with
distract you?
Aldrin. Nobody helped him. You know. And then in the case of the Splicer season of Splicer, yeah, like they literally had Lakshmi's corpse in the final mission of that season, And the only
For me,
just
that
the
was
only
brilliant.
the
Sorry.
only yeah the only justification for having a character in there is that a lot of times audiences need to know that a character is dead in order to believe that they are dead, especially in a game like Destiny where there's so many like ways to not be dead. But there are many other ways to present that information without actually physically having a corpse in the game, especially one with a community like ours where you're going to load in, you have Saint saying like, you have to help us fight and protect the elixir, and then you're trying to run around all the very immature people teabagging a dead character, like I really do wish that Bungie would step in every now and again and go, hey guys,
Fill up.
just kind of yeah just kind of or just kind of guide, like even just focusing purely on the narrative, like on the story and the narrative, just kind of guide the conversation a little bit and kind of dissuade certain other things.
The bird distracted.
Yeah, Trystan, you haven't spoken for a while. Are you boiling over with rage or icy fire? What's going on over there? How are you feeling?
No, I'm just kind of taking it all in. I'm trying to keep up with both you guys and chat. That's proving difficult.
Yeah, I know. Very active, very, very cool. But I'm reading chat too. I'll try to fold them in. But yeah, I mean,
It's just kind of it's brought another thing to the forefront for me.
Did you have
A
some
big
fan
argument
stuff
that I
to
had
talk
in
about?
terms of like helping people that needed help but we didn't. And a lot of people will probably say I'm wrong for this, but Rolk was the last of his species and we committed genocide. And nobody's addressing that like at all.
Yeah. No, I know. I mean,
It wasn't even an option. And I wish that's my thing with Bungie. I wish they would give us more agency. Not everybody's a hammer and not everything is nails. Give us more agency.
yeah. No, we've talked about that a few times in other like lore segments, but I absolutely agree with you. I mean, like I always use the line that
Six and Dork fight me.
Dork says it was him or us. Who are you referring to?
He was talking about Rolk.
Rolk? Well, here's the thing
We
about
literally knocked on his door and kicked his door down.
not only that, it wouldn't have been like we didn't know anything about him until after he died, and like there, I have my own personal problem with this. That's on a different topic than genocide, which makes my point sound small and insignificant. So I'll just say yes, your point is incredibly valid, and it really sucks that we just kind of were walked into that situation. Acknowledging that, related to it, I don't like that we learned everything about him after we killed him. Like,
Yeah.
what's the point?
absolutely.
Like, yeah, like
What is the point?
you know,
where is it?
yeah, that is a thing that I mean, we did the same thing with Aramis. We got her lore book, mostly after she was frozen in ice,
But I mean, at least we had an entire campaign worth of her ambitions.
yes,
Pointing us
that
to,
is true.
yeah, she's a bad person.
Yeah.
With Rolk, we literally kicked his door down and said, "What's up, man? Time to die."
Yeah, that's true. Bryce's questions: wouldn't the Tormentors next season be like Rolk's family? I mean, in terms of like, I will say that it's possible that if Rolk ever, saying that Rolk socialized does sound funny to me, but if he ever did socialize with other legions or members of the Witnesses kind of army, then sure, maybe like a found family, but like literally there's no other Lubrayans. The race that Rolk was, there's none left.
I think the Tormentors are more like clones of Rogue.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh,
with everything
interesting.
We see in the pyramids, L's right. It looks like the Tormentors are probably grown as opposed to.
So yeah, I mean maybe brothers and sisters, quote unquote. I don't know, but yeah.
Catch L.
Yeah. Good point. But yeah, in terms of like agency, it's I will. How do I condense a long argument into a short one? a lot of people talk about like, oh, like, are we going to get like a, light versus dark where I can choose light and you can choose dark, and then we're going to split into factions and do all this stuff. And I don't know if Destiny will ever really do that with the way it's made. Maybe with Sony coming in, maybe, but I feel like Destiny is always going to have kind of a linear story. And I've always said that the agency and the choice, I will admit that I do think that we should have more options in terms of how some of those bigger and smaller moments are played out. But I personally view that like the way that Destiny is built right now, or has been, I always use this metaphor, chat. There's an expression in English called a fork in the road, which means when you have a decision to make, do you go left or do you go right? And whichever decision you make, that's your choice, and you don't go the other way. A lot of people called the Allegiance quest. They thought it was frustrating. Whether you chose Drifter or not, the story kind of went the same way. And personally, the way I view things is that that's how the story will go. Bungie can't afford to make the story twice. One where you chose good and one where you chose, like the one where you chose left and one where you chose right. So the way I view it is that the Allegiance quest was not a fork in the road, it was a spoon. And if you imagine moving down a spoon toward the ladle, I don't know, the spoon part, if you choose left or you choose right, you go along a different track and you meet in the middle. So your experience is different, but what happens is the same. Would I love for it to be even more than that? Sure. But I wonder and hope if in the beginning at least we get a bit more of that, where your experience is different from mine. You maybe are more aggressive or a more peace-seeking or a more litigious or something, and I'm different than you. So my people see me differently. Maybe Drifter thinks I'm too serious. Zavala likes me. Ikora smirks at me. Shax yells at me. I don't know. And maybe for you it's different. Maybe for you PvP players out there, Shax like loves you. Zavala thinks you're really not being a good guardian because you barely do strikes. Stuff like that. I do wish for more of that, and a deeper RPG, a deeper character player agency in the game would be amazing. Fear says, I just hope Sony provides a bigger voiceover budget. The limited voiceover cast they can have at the same time kind of hurts the storytelling. Yeah, a lot of people were upset that like a bunch of key characters nodded this season rather than saying anything. I didn't care. I didn't mind it. I thought it was a cool moment, but I can see how it does hurt the narrative there. Yeah.
Are you judging me for selling out and moving back to the city? You are judging me.
Dork says a reminder about the Q&A I had earlier. So the question from Dork earlier was if you could have a season inspired by any aspect of pop culture, what would it be? I'll start with you, Elle. Do you have anywhere in pop culture or anything like that you would love to be made into a season in Destiny?
I don't know. No, I never think about that. Maybe something related to Star Wars, Star Trek. Maybe we already have mechas, so maybe Star Wars or Star Trek related will be fun. Marvel, nah. I'll go with Star Wars or Star Trek.
Good choices, yeah. Trystan, how about you?
I would say not really pop culture, I suppose. Maybe. Vampires are always a cool thing in my book. And more than just a Halloween costume for Festival of the Lost. Like actual psionic vampires or something would be cool.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Evangelion, the anime. Something along that line would be probably not doable, but
I've heard.
Jade just said, "Yeah, Evangelion." She knew where I was going.
I was gonna say I've heard of it, of course, but I don't know like what's the short hook that would describe Evangelion within Destiny? Like what aspect of that in Destiny would be a thing that would, you know?
We could get the Vanguard to
The human
sponsor it.
condition causes a world-altering event.
Okay. Scarlet Rebel says Bible goes anime. Okay. That's good shorthand for me. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned like I was just thinking you mentioned like psionic vampires or something. My first thought when you mentioned vampires was like, yeah, what if there was like a reclusive group of people that, for some reason or another, they were like energy vampires or something. And then I remembered that lore-wise, the Wendigo grenade launcher was gifted to Zavala by like a cult or like a group of reclusive warlocks. And I was like, what?
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
and what happened to the cult of the Trinary Star on cults?
yeah, they were just kind of jokingly referenced in the Constellation lore book, and then never again. More recently, in the Constellation lore book, there's somebody. I think they were making fun of how Bungie called them trinary or binary at different times of their writing. So somebody in the book gets them confused as to which one or the other.
Twilight's not actually vampires, Pens. That's a gross caricature.
Yeah. Also, Twilight isn't as bad as like there are aspects of Twilight that are bad for sure, but like people dump on it because it's easy to dump on it. Also, there was an Earthbender in Twilight. Do you remember that? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there wasn't there?
Yeah. Ped says no, it is that bad. Whatever, man. It's fine. I just feel look, I'm not going to come out here and defend Twilight. I don't care for it that much, but I do feel that Twilight is like just being like pigeons are terrible. Like it's just the thing that people just like dump on and over and above what it was. It's not great, and I think that's as far as it needs to be. Right. What was I gonna say? Yeah, but maybe like a reclusive set of warlocks, that could be go visit their castle sometime.
That would be very cool.
Dork says ninjas, just ninjas. Yeah, I mean, maybe just incorporate the hidden a little bit more would be kind of neat.
Wasn't the Sato? I don't think I'm saying this right. The Sato tribe, from Black Armory, like ninja themed.
Yeah, I mean, at least their color scheme was, and maybe they were. I'd have to think about that a little more. I didn't make that connection.
I mean, I look at their armor and the way some of their armor looks, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of.
Yeah, that's fair. Viewer says, like any story threads from the lore that haven't been continued yet is now being saved for future sagas. Yeah, the Aphelion, the Veil.
Picks Pradeth up and holds him over my head. Give him to me now.
But we gave you his bones. Isn't that enough?
No, but see, okay, they did that, and then they went during Season of Undying, and they said, but he's still out there.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just bugging you. All right. Well, let's. We've got a lot of. We got a little bit more time. It depends. Elle and Trystan, we're gonna wind down the. I think what we're gonna do is we're going to officially end the lore panel in a moment. But we'll all still be streaming for a few more minutes if you'd like to hang out, or if you're tired or whatever, that's fine too. So what I'll do is I will ask from you both if you have anything you wish to say to the wider community. This will eventually go on YouTube and people can watch it maybe. And do you have anything that you wish to say to the greater Destiny community? Either of you can go first if you wish.
Just one, please write more fan fiction, please. Just that.
Fair enough, yeah. All right. And
I would say,
yeah.
be more open-minded. There's a lot that people don't see, be it other cultures, be it other, people in general. Be more aware. I know nuance is lost in a world of queerbaiting, as Robert Brooks said so well.
Say what you want to say.
Your queer allies, your other cultures as well. Like, give them the space to say what needs to be said, and don't talk over them.
Cookouts. We could get the Vanguard to
Yeah,
sponsor
well
it.
said. Yeah, I agree with you guys. I mean, one of the sorry, too many thoughts. Yes, dead.
Sorry.
No, dead air audio. All right. Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, both of your points really touch on the fact that like perspective and perspective and experience with stories, with narrative, can really help you,
Are you
if
judging
not
me for selling out and moving back
open
to
your
the
eyes to,
You are
the
judging me.
difficulty of writing or of expanding on lore, or open your eyes to the wider experience of other people doing it. Yeah, just kind of help you understand or practice empathy, right? I think that both of your points, a part of your point that I pick up on is practicing empathy. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, my thing, chat, anybody out there watching anywhere, anything can be interpreted in any way. It doesn't matter how clear you think it is, it can be interpreted another way. The ultimate, if there is such a thing as the ultimate being of existence that knows everything and is always right, it can come out and say, this in my hand is an apple, and people will debate it. Some because it's fun to argue, and others because they are biased and blind and they can't tell the difference. So you have to remember that. And your perspective, your interpretation, not always right. It's not always clear. It's not always the full picture. People have, I read all the lore that Destiny has. I spent a lot of time listening to reading other people's opinions and their perspectives. And there's, I do my best to keep on top of it. But there are things that I don't pick up on because it's not my perspective, or I didn't make that connection. I never experienced that before. And you have to be aware of that. You have to be aware that the foundation of knowledge that you think you have is built on a series of perspectives that you yourself have, which doesn't make it invalid. It just means that sometimes you build a house out of all of these planks of thought, and it turns out you you built your house in the wrong place. You built it out of the wrong material. The material has changed, something like that. And the reason that's a weird metaphor, but basically, we all think we understand how certain things work, how certain characters work, certain truths. And Bungie will come out, or some of your other writers will come out, and they will say, well, actually, it was never 100% certified, and the writers have decided it's this. And it's fine to not like it, but sometimes people don't like it because it doesn't fit their preconceptions of what it should be. And you got to be careful with that. That can lead you down to hating something that you might actually like if you gave it a chance. And or the people that like it as well. So, we are continuing to raise money for the Extra Life charity event. We, there's a link. It'll be in the description on YouTube, and chat. It'll be in the chat again in a moment. Don't let the banner confuse you. We are currently at $500 raised, thanks to our friend Pens raising $100 over on his channel as part of our team. Next weekend, we will be playing Lore Bingo. So if you're watching this on YouTube, please try to come on by. There will be a prize associated with that if you win. And we'll be revealing the winners of our fashion contest. So that'll be next Sunday, the, was that 12th, 19th? We're the 12th now. And the weekend after that, we'll be playing our PvP tournament. That will be very fun and exciting. yeah, I'll explain lore bingo in a second. Scarlett will wrap up the official lore panel. But yeah, successful Q1 2023 Embrace Destiny Extra Life lore panel. Trystan, thank you both so much for your time. We went over time, but you seemed to have a good time, I hope. I had a great time. Thank you for being on my... thank you for being on my channel. Thank you for putting up with me. Thank you for engaging with us. And I really hope that you're able to continue to follow your passions with all of this stuff. And yeah, I hope to see you around. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. For the video, I will do an outro, but stream, we're continuing the party for a few more minutes. So all of you over on YouTube, thank you so much. If you're interested in more content, yada, 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 links, blah, blah, blah. Look for us everywhere that content can be found. And thank you very much for listening and watching. As always, be safe, be kind, and we'll see you all next time.
I'm here.
Bye now. And we're done. All right. Now we can goof off. I'm just going to explain. Oh, Julia's doing a dance.
Tech support from Holiday.
Done it.
Yeah, we did it. Yay. I'm going to explain. I'm not going to explain that dance because I think Julia's trying to do what my guardian is doing now.
Yeah, but my knee sucks so much.
Yeah, don't do it. I've tried it. It ends up in broken knees. I know you would.
Oh, look! Oh.
Sorry, she just saw Lewis and
Remember there.
it's true. I wave to Hawthorne a lot, but I'm not hanging out with Lewis as much as I probably should be.
You are
Can you
Um,
interact with it?
can I what? Interact with him? No.
No, this game sucks.
I mean, actually, I think like if I go like this, isn't he right here?
Oh,
Yeah, there you
how's
go.
the plan going?
yeah, but doesn't she always say the same thing? Isn't it worth like smashing her head into a wall or something?
I don't know if you could hear that, Trystan, but if you did, you'd probably laugh. No, she actually doesn't say her stuff anymore. They removed her voice line. She joked and said, "Oh, doesn't she say the same thing every time? Isn't that worth smashing her head into a wall?"
No.
That's the joke. Don't worry.
No.
She's on your side, and she's
Yeah, that's the joke. I would never.
Leave
No.
Hawthorne alone.
no. I know. Don't worry. Don't worry.
She-bear.
Don't worry, chat. You know where we stand on this. I was quite vocal in that myself. It's funny because Juliet, doesn't follow the game as closely, as I do, but she's aware of some of the drama because, well, I got to complain to somebody when I'm not on stream, right? Let me talk about something else. Lore bingo. Here's how it works. So next Sunday, we are going to be playing something called Lore Bingo. If you wish, anytime between now and I guess next Saturday, you can type !add bingo and then followed by a sentence or a set of text or whatever. And what we are doing is we are collecting ideas from all of you. We are collecting fan fiction story writing prompt ideas or theories about Destiny. Short, understandable little ideas that will go into a vault of ideas. And then I will take all of those. I will go through them and make sure they're all good. They're all appropriate. I will put them on a website that can take a bunch of those and randomly generate bingo cards. On next Sunday, you will go to the website, grab yourself a bingo card, come back to the stream. Six and I will sit here and we will draw a few ideas at a time. And as we draw those ideas, it'll be our job to interpret how they could work together or what they mean about Destiny. Some of them can be silly, some of them can be serious. Like a silly idea, for example, is what if Zavala grew hair? And then a serious way of me interpreting that is, wait, why is he growing hair? Has he always been able to grow hair? Has he been shaving? Or is the light changed in some way to allow him to grow hair? Right? that kind of, spin foil, as we say. And as we're drawing these ideas, if you have them on your card, you mark it down. And if your card gets marked, if all of the ideas on your card get filled up, send me proof, and I will buy you something. I will buy you a lore book, or some silver, or a dungeon pass in Destiny, or something. Something of that magnitude. Any questions on that from anybody? I try to make it as simple as I can to explain it, but I still feel like I talk way too much.
It was clear for me.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's it's just some fun, and I'm looking forward to it. It started because we were hanging out with some people talking about stuff, and I've said this before, but I thought at the time, you can take any idea in Destiny and you can connect it to any other idea in Destiny. It's very, Destiny is such a rich and diverse universe that you could, and there are some ambiguous, vague parts of the universe that you could really pull any idea out of a hat and make it work, right? So yeah, feel free to add. Even when the stream is done, guys, even if I'm not here and not around, or if I take a day off, you can come into the stream, go to the chat, ! Add bingo, followed by your prediction or your idea, and it will get added. Even if I'm not streaming, you can use any command in the channel that you can do even when I'm not streaming. So, yeah.
I am gonna bow out. I have to cook dinner, but thank you so much
No.
for having me.
Yeah, it was great having you, and I'll let you know when it's up on YouTube. And yeah, thank you. Just thank you again for it was great. I had a really great time.
It was
Thanks.
amazing, and thank you, Elle. Thank you for being here with me.
It was a
Thank you,
pleasure.
Kaz. Love you guys. I will see you.
See you. Oh, okay. Juliet put a thing, and then it didn't work. Oh, sorry, Al. Go ahead.
I'll be on my way too.
Okay.
So, Curtis is wanting to have dinner, so
Yeah.
it was a pleasure, guys, as always.
It was great, Al. By the way, I understood you perfectly the entire time. It was a great time.
Thanks.
I had fun. So say hi to Colonel for us, and you guys have a lovely evening.
Oh, thank you. I'll pass the salad. Bye.
Bye. Reading up. Reading on the buffering. Oh yeah, that's how the French use quotation marks. I don't think that was the issue. It's just that Nightbot has a 5-second cooldown on any of its commands. But maybe you're right. Maybe I'll try adding her her thing right now. Give me a second.
I'm here.
Is it?
We'd had clans in the city when I was a kid. I might never have left.
Here, I'll do it right now for you, Juliet. There we go. Yeah, well, there we go, chat. That was great. I had a really great time. I really hope you did too. Feel free, by the way, either now or later or privately, give me some feedback. Was there anything about the format, the flow, the content, the conversation that you feel could be improved? I really kind of just, I didn't put like a lot of organization Oh, yeah, there you go. Mm, yeah, like I didn't put a lot of organization into it. I knew I wanted to do a lore panel. I tried to find a weekend that would work well. I found some great guests. And then I thought for a moment about how the order of conversation should go. And that's kind of all I did. So, yeah, I hope that you had a good time and I hope that it made sense. And
Checking.
yeah, that you enjoyed the direction that it took. But you can feel free to let me know if you think there are areas that you're like, you know,
Goodbye.
I always appreciate feedback like that. Yeah, we had a lot of people in here tonight. It was good. No, Elle, look, you were fine. You were absolutely fine. You always provided like enough of an explanation, and then you wanted to explain more, and that's when you ran into not being able to find the words. So you're completely fine. I understood you, and I understood the points you're making, and some of the questions I asked you were deceptively difficult, right? I mean, like I literally asked you like why do you find Hunter fun? And you're like, because I have fun playing it. Like that's the answer. Going further than that is a challenge in any language. Oh, thanks, Tower. Yeah, exactly, right? Like, I was really glad to bring Elle and Trystan in. Yeah, both cool people I've hung out with, and I respect them, and I like their perspectives, and yeah. No, I mean, Elle, I can't fault you for wanting to explain yourself too much. I literally was explaining something in a D&D game I played before the lore panel, and I had like my best friend cut me off and go, okay, I get it. So it's all good. Yeah, I mean, I understood perfectly as well. Yeah, it's all good. Sorry about that. Yeah, so that went great. So I'll export this soon. Nice, Juliet. Nice. I'll export this soon, and it will go up on YouTube along with my other lore panels, so you can watch and listen to your heart's content. If you came in late, or if you missed a part of it, then you'll be able to put it up there. Yeah, and like I said, next weekend. Well, yeah, I think. I'm trying to think. We have to finish the fashion contest, and it's going to finish around that time. And Tower Mom, I know you're in the chat, so you can, and I think, Dude, you were here earlier. I don't know if you still are. But you could provide your opinions here. Do you believe that it would be better to finish the fashion contest, like, so that the announcements are made on Saturday, or Monday, or the Monday, not tomorrow, but like the Monday the week after? Basically, when I originally thought of the timing, I thought the fashion contest winners would be announced on Sunday, February 19th. But then yeah, I thought we would announce the winners of the fashion contest on Sunday, February 19th, but then this lore bingo idea started going, and I realized I need to put it somewhere. So lore bingo is going to be on the 19th, and I'm trying to decide, should the fashion contest be before or after that? What do you think, chat? Let me know. Oh. Yeah, so that was great. In terms of the rest of the month, so this coming week, if I stream, I'll be probably doing some Seraph heist battlegrounds. The main thing, well, there's a couple of things coming in Destiny, right? There's some like new quest or something like that coming on Tuesday, which yeah, we don't know what that is, but it'll probably be something to close this season and hint at the next. So I'm going to be doing that, but I'm also going to be working on my Seraph title. I have not been hitting the battlegrounds as much as I should, so I need to do that and get it done. I'll probably play Stasis on my Titan because I haven't played Stasis much, and I'd like to give it more of a shot. So probably a lot of the new thing plus Stasis. Yeah, it'll be fun. Download says, doesn't really matter to me. If you're planning on us joining you for the reveals, either day would be fine. Okay. Yeah. I'll pardon me. I'll message you both and yeah, find out if there's a day where you both could come in. Yeah, just see if there's a day that you both could come in to talk about it. Because the way I imagine the announcing of the winners will go is I will probably announce like the winner. We'll chat about like kind of how the community voted, and then I would like to have one or both of your opinions on like, you know, like what you liked about it. Mostly what you liked about it. We don't need critique, but maybe if you're like, oh, this is only a 4 out of 5, it's because of this or whatever, you know? Yeah. So, yeah, next week will be the new thing, whatever it is, plus Seraph stuff, wrapping that up. Next weekend will be possibly the fashion contest and winners and the lore bingo. Reminder of that, we are continuing to raise money for the Extra Life charity. As of tomorrow, we will be halfway through the event, but we are not halfway through the charity goal that we have set for ourselves. So I really hope that we can ramp this up toward the end. Lots of prizes to be won. Very easy to get involved. If you have any way of sharing the link that I've just posted below to the charity event on your social media or with people in real life, I'd really appreciate it, because we're trying to do what we can to meet our goal. Yeah. So lore panel over was fantastic. It'll go up on YouTube soon. Lore bingo fashion contest. If you're in the Discord and you wish to be involved in the fashion contest, then you can. There's a channel dedicated to it. And you can also vote. If you have not voted yet on your favorite creations, it's very easy to do. You just find one of the creations, one of the submissions, and you just add an emote to it. Just an emote react. We're going to use those as votes. Yeah, just tell people about it, Dork. Just tell people. If you're going to your theater classes, tell people at your theater class. You know? You don't need to be annoying about it. You don't need to pester people, but, you know, you can always just spread the word, right? Or not. You've already donated. You've helped. I'm sure you've spread it around. Everybody does the best that they can. I'm really looking forward to Sunday the 26th. We're going to be playing a PvP tournament. And has anybody here Has anybody here not heard my friends Mike and Alex do shoutcasting? We've done a couple of charity events in the past, and usually the final event of the charity event event is I play PvP, and I have some friends jump in and they announce while I play, and it is a real treasure. It's a lot of excitement. Thanks for hanging out, Viru. Have yourself a good night. Appreciate you. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And if you're curious as to what that sounds like, if you're like, oh, yep, sounds good, She Bear. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'll hopefully see you at the latest next weekend. Yeah, if you're curious as to what the whole shoutcasting thing sounds like, because I've talked about it before, but maybe you've never heard it, you can, if you head over to my YouTube channel, I have a playlist. I believe I've called it Shoutcasting or something like that. And you can go and just click on it and just listen, and you'll get to hear some of the craziness that's there. Yeah, it's a good time. All right. I'm yawning. It's getting late. We had a good panel. It was good. So thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for your time, your questions, your support. Really appreciate that. I hope you had a good weekend, and I hope that you are all set to jump into what I hope is a great week. As I said, the stream will go up. The video will go up soon, and the stream will continue over the next week. Probably doing a lot of PvE focused stuff, and then we'll be getting ready for our PvP tournament. So thanks again for all your questions. Thank you for everything. Thank you to Elle and to Trystan for your presence here and your wonderful company. Really appreciate that. Have a great day and night, everybody. And as always, be safe, be kind, and we'll see you all next time. Bye now.